Go ahead. Go ahead with the question.
Um, and I remember earlier you mentioned that a woman cannot be taken back to her first husband um, if she lost her, or whom she lost her virginity to. Um, so her question was, you know, can, if in this case is, and now that she is, I would say, renewed in the faith or come into the faith, does this now change her state? Is she, does this allow her to marry, or would she still have to live alone unless her first husband, or whom she lost her virginity to, were to pass away?
Okay.
Does she have to live alone because her first husband, can't take her back? Or is there any reference to her being able to remarry?
So let me just back up. Let's back up all the way to the beginning. So the Most High said in Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 28 and 29, he said that if a man takes a woman's virginity, that woman becomes his wife, and he is not allowed to put her away all his life. So that's what the Most High said. If you go to Exodus chapter 22, verse 16 and 17, the Most High said that even if her father says no, the man is still supposed to pay her bride price. So this means that if I take your daughter's virginity and you say absolutely not, I will never allow you to marry my daughter. Even if you say that, I am still required to go pay her bride price. So why is that? Why is it that I'm still required to pay her bride price? Because what you say can never change the original intention of the Most High. So his intention is that if I take her virginity, she's my wife. And in some cases, I can actually be put to death in some cases. How? If your daughter was given to a man, if you gave her, like if you promised a man that you will give him your daughter for marriage, that means that your daughter is betrothed to that man. If I go behind you and take your daughter's virginity, I'm supposed to be put to death, according to Deuteronomy chapter 22. So the Most High, we need to understand this, that the Most High told us that when a girl loses her virginity, she becomes the wife of the man that took her virginity. That's Deuteronomy chapter 22. Now you go to Romans chapter 7. Romans, are you familiar with that? Romans chapter 7. Yeah, good. It's only 3 verses. Just Romans chapter 7, verse 1 to 3. Romans 7, 1 to 3.
How that the law hath dominion over man as long as he liveth. For the woman which hath an husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as he liveth. But if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law of her husband. So then if, while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from that law.
So that yeah, go ahead, bro.
So that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man.
Okay. So that law that it's talking about here is Deuteronomy chapter 22. That is the law. When he said that she is free from the law, it's Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 28 and 29. So it's saying here in Romans chapter 7 that if her husband is alive, she cannot remarry. Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 10 and 11. Yes.
But Yeshua, let not the wife depart from her husband. But and if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife.
Okay, could you go down to verse 39? Go down to verse 39.
The wife is bound by the law as long as her husband lives. But if her husband be dead, she is at liberty to be married to whom she will. Only in Yah.
Okay, so these places is talking about the same law in Deuteronomy. So Paul the apostle acknowledged what the Most High had said, the will of the Most High. That's why women are virgins. It's not fun. It's not a pretty thing. It's not a fun thing to bleed on your first sexual experience. It's not fun. There's a reason why the Most High made the women to bleed. So that's why it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, 1 Corinthians 11 verse 8 and 9, that a man was not made for the woman, but the woman was made for the man. So the problem we have right now, we do have a problem. The problem that we have right now is that for thousands of years, people understood this and they accept this. And it was well understood between men and women that you do not bother a woman unless you want to marry her. You might admire her beauty, but you don't go after her sexually. If you want her, marry her. This was happening up until recently. It was well understood that if you want a woman, marry her. That's the way it used to be done. Up until recently, when we have decided to follow the Gentiles, even the heathen, even Gentiles, I encourage you to find any white woman or white man who is above 80 years old. Ask them how things was in their day. Ask them, was there sexual promiscuity as you have now? No. Back then, people got married at a young age. They didn't mess around like they're doing now. Now we have all this mess going on. Baby mama, baby daddy, boyfriend, girlfriend. These things are an abomination. So the women usually kept their virginity until their wedding night. That was the way it used to be. So because the Most High, look, I can't change what the Most High said here. I can't really change it. It says what it says, that if you take a girl's virginity, she's your wife. She is your wife. That's it. She's your wife. You have to take her. She's your wife. So you cannot put her away. I feel so tempted to do this. I don't want to do this, but I feel so tempted. Let me do it for the sake of your question. So before I begin to take the law seriously, and this is all part of the answer to your question. Before I begin to take the law seriously, I had an encounter with some Hebrew girl or woman. And when I began to see what the law says here, I went online. I bought 50 shekels of silver. I waited for the silver. It cost me more than $300. I have actual silver. I still have it. I ordered it online. I think it came from Canada or something. I got it. I received it. And I went to Deuteronomy chapter 22 and I printed it out on a piece of paper. I printed it out. Before I did it, I called her. I said to her, could you explain to me what you told me some time ago? I was able to look on my phone. I found her information because I couldn't ignore this law. I could not ignore Deuteronomy chapter 22. Now, I called her and I met her and I asked her, were you really a virgin? Were you really a virgin? You told me a story. You told me that you were, were you really a virgin? She said yes, that she was. I said, okay. In my mind, I'm not sure if she was really a virgin or maybe she was in a period or whatever. I don't really know. But it doesn't matter. Like, I can't say, well, yeah, I want to keep the law, but I think she was lying. I can't say that. I can't play game with the Most High. So I bought the silver and I went to her father, knowing that it probably wouldn't work out. I went there, I knocked against her will. Basically, I didn't want her to know. I went there and I told the father, I'm interested in marrying your daughter. I know that it will be difficult to explain to her Deuteronomy chapter 22. Coming into a man's house and saying to the man that I had sex with your daughter. It's not most people will not shake your hand. You know what I mean? Like most people most people will. So I was actually recording this. I was actually recording the whole situation. Like I was recording this. So I went there. I know that the best way to convey this message is to print it out. Knowing that he's an adult, he will understand what's going on. So I went to his house. I told him, I'm interested in marrying your daughter. And I gave him that piece of paper with Deuteronomy chapter 22. I know that if he reads it, he will understand why I came, what's going on. The reason why I'm here is because, so I gave him the piece of paper, and I also offered the 50 shekels of silver. Now, he did what Hebrew men normally do. He did, which is he told me to come back. He told me that he can't say anything right now, that he needs to, he can't tell me anything, but I should come back. So I went back to his house. So at this point, he has talked to his daughter and his wife or whatever. So basically, he told me, oh, she's still in school, blah, blah, blah. She's still in school. So what I'm doing here, I wasn't doing it because of him, and I don't want her. I don't want that particular woman. I don't want her because my mindset have changed. I was interested in her because she was dressing like a whore, and that was because of the mindset I had at that time. It was the way she dressed that attracted me, so, and stuff like that. So, but it doesn't matter what I want. What matters at that point was what the Most High said. So if the man has said yes, okay, marry my daughter, I would have been stuck with a woman that I really actually hated, because it would be her. She wouldn't be keeping the law, but it wouldn't matter because I took her virginity. So now I will be stuck with her. So she was raised a Catholic. She's a Hebrew, but she was raised a Catholic. So, but the thing is that I'm talking about someone that I don't want. But once you take her virginity, what you want doesn't matter anymore. You must take her. You can't put her away. So that whole thing fell apart. Of course, they said no. They said that she has to finish her education. They said no. And that was basically, and I took my 50 shekels of silver. I left. So I know that the Most High, he at least prayerfully, the Most High will see that I tried. You know what I mean? Like the Most High will see that I didn't just ignore that. I tried, even though I know that I'm probably going to end up with someone that I hated, I don't want, because this is what women don't understand. we don't have sex with you because we love you. Men don't deal with emotions. We can have sex with any woman. We can have sex with 10 women in a day. We don't care. It's not about emotion for us. So that's what young women need to understand. Just because a man is interested in you doesn't mean that he wants you. We want your body, but we don't want you. We just want your body temporary. We don't want you. Because most women don't really have what we want. We don't want a woman that, is wild, half naked. When she comes into a room, everybody knows. No, we don't. No righteous man wants that. No real, even men who don't keep the law, they don't want that. They don't want a woman that will draw attention from other men. We don't want that. But we don't mind laying with you, So that's how I ended up in that situation. But once I cross that line, I have two options: either to go attempt to marry her, or to ignore it and and give myself some reason. So I bought 50 shekels of silver and I went, and it did not work out, which I do suspect that it wouldn't work out. But if he had worked out, I would still, be stuck with her. But as time went on, probably in the future, they will realize, their eyes might open and they will realize what happened, and they may want to come back. Now, if she wants to come back, it will depend on if she has laid with any other man, then I can't take her back. I cannot take her back if she's laid with any other man. So this is a little story that I wanted to tell you, because you're not dealing with someone who is just talking the talk and not walking the walk. This is something I've gone, so I do understand. I deal with brothers and sisters. I've seen brothers, I've seen people that, watch my video and leave their wife. I got a call the other day. A man told me that he left his girlfriend. Most people will not care about this. Few people will care. Few people will care about this. This is about our salvation. The kingdom of heaven is not for everybody. So I just want you to know, and I want everybody to know, and remind you what Christ said. Yeshua HaMashiach, our Savior, said that when not everyone that says to me, Lord, Lord, will be allowed into the kingdom, but those that did the will of my Father who is in heaven. Those that did the will of my Father. Those that did the will of my Father. So it is the will of our Heavenly Father. For example, you have a beard. That's the will of your God to have a beard. That's the will of my God for us to wear our fringes. That is His will. The Most High also designed marriage. So if a girl is supposed to keep her virginity, the Most High said in Deuteronomy chapter 22 that if a girl lose her virginity before her wedding night, the Most High said that she is a whore and she should be put to death. Deuteronomy chapter 22 verse 13 to 21. The Most High said that if you marry a girl and you lay with her and you discover that she's not a virgin, the Most High said that she should be put to death. In Deuteronomy chapter 22. This is the reason why Joseph quietly decided to put Mary away, because he thought that Mary was no longer a virgin. So if let me give you another personal story, just so you see. I have a sister. Okay, by the time I was able to catch up with her, it was too late, considering when my eyes opened too. So by the time I had this conversation with her, I spent almost 1 hour explaining these things to her. By the time I was done, she basically told me that it's too late, that she already lost her virginity. Now today, if she wants to get married, I will not be there. I'm not going to go. If she calls me today and say, brother, I'm getting married, that somebody is marrying me, I will not support her. Now people will say, oh my goodness, you are evil. You are in a cult. You are this. How could you not be there for your sister? She's getting married. That's what people will say. How can I be there knowing fully well that the man who is taking her now is not her husband? The Most High is the one that defines marriage. So this is my little sister, but I can't support her. So the question is, are you saying that she can never get married? These are the consequences of lawlessness. It's the consequences, and we have to remove Christian mindset from this. We have to remove Christian mindset. So if the Most High, look at what those people did in the book of Exodus chapter 10. The Israelites that married, our ancestors that married Babylonian women, or married foreign women in Babylon. They married foreign women. When they found out what the law said, they left those women. There was no excuses. Oh, we did it in ignorant, blah blah. They didn't give no excuse. They left those women because they understood that our will, our ignorant, our desire can never overrule the will of the Most High. We are the ones that need to adjust our ways back to the original way, which is the way of the Most High. So if a girl like the person you're talking about, if she, like any other girl, at some point was a virgin, she was a virgin like any other woman, and then she laid with a man, and the man took her virginity, and she realized what she did, and she repented, and she chose not to do that again. She decided to keep herself pure until her wedding night. If that's the case, then she's okay now, because she just have to, that man is her husband, so she can either go join that man, or she can also decide not to join that man. The Bible is very clear. The Bible told her, if you want to leave, you can leave. In 1 Corinthians, if you want to be by yourself, yeah, you can. The Bible doesn't force you to be with a man. The Bible does not. The Bible tells women, if you want to leave, leave. The only thing is that you cannot remarry as long as they are alive. So if the person you're talking about lost her virginity to a man, and she then cautioned herself and decided to keep herself pure, and no other man had ever touched her after that, then if this man dies, she can then get married again. She can then, another man will be with her. And what I tell people in that situation, I know this might be a little bit harsh, or however you want to see it, but look, I tell people, let's say we have, her name is Sarah, and Sarah was a virgin, and Sarah had a situation with Isaiah, and Isaiah took her virginity, and then Sarah repented and decided that she would keep herself pure from that moment on until her wedding night. So Sarah begins to keep the laws of the Most High, but Isaiah does not. Isaiah is a whoremonger. Isaiah is jumping from one woman to the next. I'm telling you, if Sarah is truly a righteous woman, the Most High will kill Isaiah to free Sarah. If Sarah chooses to, I'm giving you an example. This is just an example. If Sarah chose to keep herself pure until her wedding night, then the only thing holding her back is this man. So the Most High will probably kill Isaiah. And what you're going to hear one day is that either he got struck with a stray bullet, or he went to bed and he had a heart attack or something. So example of this is in the book of 1 Samuel with Abigail and David. So Abigail was her husband was a kind of like a wicked man, and there was some incident that happened, and David wanted to kill her husband, and she went and began to beg David, and David went back, and eventually the Most High killed her husband. After her husband was, the Most High struck her husband, and 10 days later he died. So she became a widow. And then David went back and said David sent her a message wanting to marry her, and she agreed, and David married her. She became one of the wives of David. So she was a righteous woman. Her husband was a wicked man. So if a woman, let's say she made a mistake and a man took her virginity, but from that moment on, she doesn't allow any other man to touch her, she keeps herself pure, yeah, she has a chance, because as soon as that man dies, another man can marry her. Unfortunately, this is not the case today. Unfortunately, 99% of the time, a woman will have sex with a man. When she's a girl, she has sex with a man, and then 2-3 months later they break up. She go on to have sex with another man, and then she goes to another man, she goes to another man, and then 10 years later, 15 years later, she now finds out about this. She's been with like at least 4, 5, 6 men. So the whole thing is messed up at this point. So that's the situation that most women are in today. So let me come back to you. See, for you, go to Matthew chapter 5, verse 32 and 31 and 32.
Whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, this I have to talk to you about, causes her to commit adultery. And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committeth adultery. I've learned about this in terms of fornication, but I want to let you speak. I just want to let you go ahead.
Okay, read that second part, the verse 32.
32. But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causes her to commit adultery.
Mm-hmm.
And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committeth adultery.
Okay, my brother, go to Matthew 19, 8 and 9. Matthew 19, 8 and 9.
19.
8 and 9.
8 and 9. Okay. He saith unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives. But from the beginning it was not so. And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whoso marries her, which is put away, does commit adultery. So does fornication? See, I know here, as you've expressed, as it is interpreted in the King James version, and as it is translated today, in our Western society, that fornication mainly means, sex with an unmarried person. That's the way it's taught.
Okay, so we'll come back to fornication. So we'll come back to fornication.
Okay.
What I wanted you to see is verse 9, when it says that he that marries her. What does it say? Could you read that verse 9?
Yes, and I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, shall marry another, commits adultery. And whosoever marries her, which is put away, does commit adultery. Okay, so this verse is literally talking about Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 28 and 29. He said that whoever puts away his wife, except for fornication, causes her to commit adultery. If I put away my wife, except for fornication, we're going to come back to fornication. Except for fornication, okay.
If I put her away, except for fornication, I'm causing her to commit adultery.
Right.
Because I'm not supposed to put her away. Why? Deuteronomy chapter 22. The law, the Most High told you, don't put her away. You take her virginity, you cannot put her away. If you put her away and she goes out and another man lay with her, you are responsible. You're causing her to commit adultery.
Right.
And then the next part, he said that you cannot marry her who is put away. This is twice in the book of Matthew, chapter 5 and chapter 19. This is telling you that you cannot take a woman who is not a virgin, a woman who has been put away. Put away. Put away. What does that mean? If I see a young girl who is a virgin and I lie to her that she's beautiful, I like her, blah blah blah, that the Bible calls it entice. That's what the Bible calls it. So if I see a young girl and I'm telling her that she's beautiful, I need her number, I'm thinking about her, I'm enticing her. When I say stuff like that, which is what we do. So the Bible is clear. If you entice a young woman and you take her virginity, and after you take her virginity, you get down and you just move on, you don't take her and take her to your house to be your wife, you're putting her away. Because as soon as the Most High, our Creator, tells us, if you take her virginity, she now belongs to you, as long as you are alive. If you don't take her to your house and let her stay with you, you are putting her away. You are literally putting her away. So no man can take her. My brother, this is the reason why you saw that Joseph, as soon as Joseph thought that Mary was pregnant, what did he do? He quietly wanted to put her away, because he knew that he cannot take a girl who is not a virgin. There's no other reason why. What other reason why would Joseph want to leave Mary? Because he understood that he cannot marry a girl who is not a virgin. In the Hebrew culture, in our culture, in the Hebrew culture, when a man dies, the wife will wear something called widow's uniform, a widow's garment. It's either black or white. Everything they wear will be either black or white, and their hair is usually shaved. Their hair is usually shaved, according to the book of Jeremiah. So when you see a widow, you can tell. If you meet anybody who is from Africa, ask them, how do you know a widow in your side of Africa? When you see a widow on the street, you can tell. So typically, like for example, in the book of Genesis, when Jacob, if you remember, there was a story in the book of Genesis where Jacob's daughter-in-law took off her widow's uniform and went on the street and tricked Jacob. She was a widow. So usually in our culture, when you see a widow, you can tell. When you see a widow, her hair is shaved. She has a shaved hair in our culture as Hebrew. So you can, when you see a widow, you can tell. So you know, oh, she's a widow. If you have interest in her, you want to marry her, you can marry her if she's a widow. But that's no longer the case today. That is no longer the case. We don't do that anymore. So we have a situation where that everything is just messed up, upside down. Everything is completely and absolutely upside down. So here's the picture. I want to show you a picture, and I apologize for those who are listening on the video because you might not understand. You're not seeing the picture. So this picture right here, that's a woman. Her husband died. That's a Hebrew woman. Her husband died, and they're shaving her hair because this hair belongs to her husband, her dead husband. So they shave it, and as she's mourning her husband, her new hair will begin to grow, and her new hair will now belong to her new husband that will marry her. This is the reason why in the Hebrew culture, women cover their hair, because only their husband is supposed to see their hair. That's why you see a practicing Muslim woman will never let you see her hair. She will never let you. Her hair belongs to her husband, like it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 11. So it's easy to spot and see a widow back in the day. And Joseph know for sure that Mary was not a widow. Joseph knew that Mary was not a widow. The only reason why a woman will not be a virgin is that she's either married or a widow. Other than that, typically women are virgins. If you look at all the stories you see in the scriptures, it's not a coincidence that Rebecca was a virgin when she was married. Leah was a virgin when she was married. Rachel was a virgin when she was married. I mean, throughout the scriptures, typically girls keep their virginity because the Most High told us that if a girl loses her virginity before her wedding night, that girl should be put to death. That's what the Most High told us. So we have a situation right now, and that is the problem. The problem is that now this person that you're telling me right now, she probably lost her virginity, and after that she also went on to be with other men, and so it complicates the situation to the point that it just complicates the situation that you are not even allowed to marry her, because that's why I was trying to show you Matthew chapter 5 verse 32 and Matthew 19 verse 8 and 9, that every man needs to understand this. Christ is the one that told you. So you cannot say this is not coming from the Torah. This is coming from the mouth of our Savior, telling you that you should not marry a woman who is put away. Put away by who? Put away by the man that took her virginity. Because typically, when the Most High told us in two places, Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 8, Deuteronomy chapter 22 verse 28 and 29, he said that if you take a virginity of a woman, she belongs to you as long as you are alive. In Exodus 22, he said that if you take her virginity, you pay her bride price. She belongs to you basically. So, if you don't, if you do take her virginity as we do today, and after you take her virginity, she goes home and you go home, in the sight of the Most High, you're not taking her, you're putting her away. So men are not allowed to marry women who have been put away, women who are not, who are no longer virgin. A woman who is no longer a virgin has been put away by the man that took her virginity, and you cannot marry her according to Christ. So this sister, I don't know, but if she's only been with one, if she's only been with one man and the man is still alive, then I will encourage her to really keep the law and keep the law seriously. The more she keeps the law, the more righteous she becomes. Anything can happen to that man and she'll be free to marry. You can marry her at that time. Anybody can marry her, and she can, like it says, she can choose, according to the law. So, but if after she lost her virginity, she went on to be with multiple men, after that she went on to have more boyfriends and everything, then in that case, you don't even want, you marrying her will be kind of jeopardizing your salvation, going against Christ. Yes. So now I explained this to my brother, and my brother said to me, what about all these women that are out there? What about all these women? And you say, what about? And that's a good question. That's a good question. But the thing is that, so the situation is what it is. We are told in Philippians 2:12 to work out our salvation with fear and trembling. I may feel for all these women that are out there, but my feeling cannot change the will of the Most High, and I don't even want to get involved. I don't want to get involved like to start changing what the Most High said. So I know that it's tough. So what I want to do, what I'm trying to do is to encourage sisters to make things easier for them. What I will not do is to encourage you in a way that you will disobey the Most High. because we don't have much time in this world right now. This world is a temporary place. We don't have much time. You know, the way I describe it, my brother, all of us here right now, none of us is going to be here 70 years from now. 70 years from now, calculate your age right now. Most of us here will be gone. I know some people have little kids, but most of us, 70 years from now, that's 70 Christmas from now. 70 Christmas. If I say 70 years, it sounds so far away. 70 Christmases from now, most of us will be gone, dead. So we don't have much time in this world. Why would we? Because of pleasure. I understand the need to be with somebody, that emotional feeling. Being with somebody is not just all about sex. There are way more. Sex is just part of it. Being able to have someone to talk to, being able to have, I understand that, and it can be painful when you don't have that. But we cannot, because of that, disobey the Most High. So my desire is to help people as much as I can to be able to cope with the situation, instead of trying to look for a loophole to get around the situation. Let's accept it for what it is and see how we can live with this, how we can get through this. You know what I mean? Without disobeying the Most High. Because it's easy to find a loophole. It's easy to say that we're under grace. It's easy to come up with all these things. And also my interest is on the young people, young boys and girls, to encourage them to keep themselves pure, so that they don't end up in 10 years from now being in the same situation. So again, I don't know the situation of this person, whether they've only been with one man, or after they lost their virginity they were with multiple men. If after they lost their virginity they were with multiple men, then there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do. You can't really marry them, because your wife is supposed to be a virgin or a widow. A widow means that she lost her virginity and she's only been with that man, and that man dies, then she's a widow. That's not the case today. The case today is that typically these girls lose their virginity in high school, in middle school, high school. They lose their virginity. They go on to have multiple boyfriends, and then they graduate from school, they get a job, and then they settle with one person after they've been with multiple men. You can't really marry them in that case. You can't marry them.
I would say that was very thorough. Very thorough.
Now, you did mention about fornication, which is part of the verse that you read. And you mentioned about fornication because it says that you cannot put your wife, you mentioned about fornication, and it says that you cannot put your wife away except for fornication, right? And it seems like you were interested in that, and you wanted me to, I think you have a question about the fornication part, like as in the only reason why you can put her away. There was something that got your attention on that verse. So what is your question regarding that fornication part?
Being a reference to, from what I understand, more so in truth, the better description of fornication, what I've read is that it has more to do with idolatry or worshiping another deity, or not being of the faith. For instance, if she is worshiping another, if she's not of the faith and she's worshiping another, just as Yah did with Israel, they're worshiping. Israel began to follow the ways of the pagans. So Israel was put away. So in that, Israel and Jerusalem were put away. So in that same manner, I learned that it was more than just the idea of her being intimate with another person, but having more so to do with her being unequally yoked, following, false faith. And of course, I believe too, if you're following another faith, you're not going to adhere to the word as it is written. So you're going to have all these different complications, in that situation. So if she is following another faith, or she doesn't follow the faith at all, and she's following her own way, that fornication basically speaks to that. So what is your impression of that? Is that your understanding as well? Do you agree with that, or?
Okay, so I think I've dealt with this before, and I think we do have a video about fornication. Yes, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. So fornication, as we understood it in Christian church, is having sex. In the Bible, it's not sex. Biblically, it's not sex. The Bible only speaks about adultery. It's very simple. If I have sex with somebody's wife, that's adultery. If a woman has sex while she's married, that's adultery. That's it. There's no the fornication part. Fornication is not about sex. Fornication is about worshiping another idol, like you said, worshiping a foreign god. So how does that deal with this question? How does that deal with a woman? Well, so it says that you can put your wife away except for fornication. So you can put her away except for fornication, except for fornication, except for fornication, except for fornication. Do you have access to the book of Jubilees? You can Google it. You can Google it too.
I think I can Google it.
Yeah, Google Jubilees chapter 33. Jubilees 33.
Jubilees chapter 33.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Brother Tobiah.
Yes, my brother. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but my understanding is if we prophesize and read scripture, then as a man, we ain't supposed to have her remove her head uncovered.
If we prophesy in the scriptures,
If we are prophesizing or reading scripture, or are we supposed to have our head uncovered?
the brother is not really prophesying, but I do, I don't. When I read the scriptures, I take off my heart. So yeah, you could take off your heart when you do read but prophesying, he's not prophesying. Okay, the brother is not prophesying right now. If you're praying, you should take off your heart. You shouldn't wear your heart when you're praying. But yeah, it's probably better to remove it when you're reading scripture, because I do remove it when I read scriptures. So some people do wear something where the middle is open, where their hair is open. So brother David, if you could, if you read when you're reading, just take off your scripture for yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Chapter 33. Where you want me to start?
From verse 1 to 8 and 9.
Okay. And the Job went and dwelt to the south of Nagalaroth, Zaeth. Okay. And he went to his father Mitchah on the new month of the 10th month. And Reuben saw Bilhah, Rachel's maid, the concubine of his father, bathing in water in the secret place, and he loved her. And he hid himself at night, and he entered the house of Bilhah at night, and he found her sleeping alone on a bed in her house. And he lay with her, and she awoke and saw, and behold, Reuben was lying with her in the bed. And she uncovered the border of her covering and seized him, and cried out, and discovered that it was Reuben. And she was ashamed because of him, and released her hand from him, and he fled. And she lamented because of this thing exceedingly, and did not tell it to anyone. And when Jacob returned and sought her, she said to him, I am not clean for you, for I have been defiled as regards you. For Reuben has defiled me, and has lain with me in the night, and I was asleep, and did not discover until he uncovered my skirt and slept with me. And Jacob was exceedingly wroth with Reuben because he had lain with Bilhah, because he had uncovered his father's skirt. And Jacob did not approach her again because Reuben had defiled her. And as for any man who uncovers his father's skirt, his deed is wicked exceedingly, for he is abominable before Yahweh. For this reason it is written and ordained on the heavenly tablets that a man should not lie with his father's wife, and should not uncover his father's skirt, for this is unclean. They shall surely die together, the man who lies with his father's wife, and the woman also, for they have wrought uncleanness on the earth.
Okay.
And there shall be...
Okay, so from verse 1 down to verse 8 and 9, what do you think is going on here? Starting like beginning of the story, what happened here? What's going on here? Can anybody explain, if you can?
Again?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. It's Reuben had laid with his father's wife, so it's pretty much counted as rape because she didn't know, and she was defiled, so he couldn't lay with her no more. He was mad at Reuben.
Okay. Brother David, what's going on here?
Yeah, that's basically the understanding that I have as well.
So, do you see, check out verse 8 and 9.
And Jacob was exceedingly wroth with Reuben because he had lain with Bilhah. There it is, because he had uncovered his father's skirt. Right.
And
so
then,
his son.
And then verse 9.
I'm sorry. Jacob was Reuben, right? Because he had lain with Bilhah. Right.
And verse 9.
And Jacob did not approach her again because Reuben had defiled her.
So,
and as for any man who uncovers his father's skirt, his deed is wicked exceedingly, for he is abominable before Yahweh.
So when it says that Jacob did not approach her again, what does that mean?
That he didn't lay with her, from what I understand.
Yeah, okay, that's exactly what it means. So the whole story is that our ancestors, our big daddy Jacob or Jacob traveled. When he traveled, his first son, our big brother Reuben, the father of the tribe of Reuben, he obviously was at home, and he saw his father's wife taking shower. So he saw her taking shower and lusted after her, and then waited. That evening, that night, he sneaked into her quarters. And usually before we go to bed, we turn off the lamp, because there's no point.
So typically, like if you grew up in a village, that's usually what we do, where we have no electricity. So so she goes to bed at night. She took shower and she went to bed. She lay down on her bed, and there was no light. There was no point leaving the lamp on at night, burning oil for nothing. When you are asleep, we don't do that. So so she goes to bed, and Reuben sneaks into her quarters because back then our ancestors were actually really wealthy. Like back then, like as I was showing you earlier, we built our own house. So if you have multiple wives, typically you have your main house, and then you build little tiny houses for them. They have their spaces. So when they're on their period, they're in their house. You know what I mean? Like we don't just live in 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom apartment. We didn't do that back then. So usually land was not an issue. We have all these servants are made, and people you can help you to build. So when you marry a wife, you build her a small house, and she stays there with her children. So that's how we used to do it. So she was in her space, in her quarters, and Reuben sneaked in at night. So she did not know. She had no idea what was going on. She thought it was her husband, Jacob. So Reuben sneaks in and gets on top of her and begin to have sex with her. So by the time she realizes that this is not her husband, it was too late. So when her husband Jacob came back from that travel, when her husband came back, Jacob attempted to have sex with his wife, and his wife said, "No, I can't. You can't have sex with me because I've been defiled. Reuben defiled me. I was asleep, and he sneaked in and he raped me, basically." So in verse 8 and 9 of the book of Jubilees, it says that Jacob never touched her again. Jacob never touched her again. So it seems like what happened here, Jacob did not drive her out, because this woman Bilhah, this is one of the 4 wives of Jacob. Jacob had 4 wives, and those 4 wives produced the 12 tribes of Israel. So this is one of the wives. So because she was honest, because this was not her fault, because she was raped, it doesn't seem like Jacob put her away. Jacob did not throw her out because she was innocent. She was raped. So, but even though it seems like she may have stayed around, Jacob never touched her again. I don't know if she stayed around, but I don't imagine Jacob throwing her out, saying, "Get out of here." Now, if she advanced towards Reuben, then she's a whore. Then Jacob would throw her out. But but what I wanted you to see here is that Jacob never touched her again. Now, why is that? The reason for that is because of the same thing you see in the law in Deuteronomy chapter 24. Because once you take a woman's virginity, Jacob took Bilhah's virginity. Jacob took her virginity. So when Jacob married Leah and Rachel, the first 2 wives, they were both virgins. Genesis 28 and 29. They were both virgins. And they gave their maids. This is one of the maid that was given to Jacob. They were also virgins. So once you take a woman's virginity, she becomes your wife, and no other man can touch her. So that's why Jacob did not sexually, he never touched Bilhah ever again. And I can imagine that it will be painful. It will be very painful. This was devastating. So I would encourage you, when you have time, to finish off the whole chapter. Read the whole chapter, because this chapter is not found in Genesis. They took it out in Genesis. They don't have this. They only have about 1 verse in Genesis. So in Genesis, it says that, and Reuben laid with his father's wife, and Jacob found out and was wroth. That's what they said in Genesis. So I encourage you to read the whole chapter in this, because you see the full story. So we're not allowed to do this. But the reason why I brought you to this chapter is for you to see that Jacob was never touched this woman sexually again. because she's been defiled, because you are the only one that's supposed to have sex with your wife. Only you are supposed to have sex with your wife. So so now we're still in that fornication thing. So fornication is the reason why we came to Jubilees chapter 33. The reason why we came to, and by the way, Sister Tonya, thank you for posting the book of Jubilees that you posted. So the reason why we came to this book of Jubilees chapter 33 is because you see that Jacob never touched his wife again. But I wanted you to see why he did not. The Bible also tells you that you cannot put your wife away except for fornication. Except for fornication. So typically, if your wife goes to worship other gods, if your wife goes to worship, she hears about Buddha or something, I don't want to call that name, but if your wife hears about some Indian god or some African god, and they tell her that she can get miracle by attending their worship or whatever, or donating, and she goes and joins them, that is fornication with another god. Now, let me tell you something that a lot of people may not really, you might not even think about this. My brother, if you are a worshiper of the Most High, and you're keeping the laws of the Most High, and your wife stops keeping the laws of the Most High, that can also fall into the category of worshiping another god. Because as long as you're alive, you are going to worship somebody. The question is who? Even the atheists have a god. They believe in something. So as long as you're alive, because we are only supposed to worship the Most High. We are only supposed to keep his Sabbath. We're supposed to keep the law. There's no other way. There's only one God. So it's either you're following the Most High and keeping his laws, or you're not. So if you're not keeping his laws, then you're not worshiping him. Then you are your own God. You don't, so that's why it says that those that refuse to keep the commandment, that they hate him. In the book, in 10 commandments, the Most High described those that refuse to keep his commandment as those that hate him, and those that keep his commandment as those that love him. So if your wife refused to keep the laws, let's say she was keeping the Sabbath, she was wearing her fringes, she was doing the law and eating clean food, and everything is fine, and all of a sudden she stops keeping the law, you are either worshiping the Most High or you're worshiping Satan, because Satan does not want us to keep the law. And 2 Corinthians 4:4, 2 Corinthians 4:4, Satan is the god of this world. And all the way from the beginning in the garden, Satan came and deceived Eve, deceived her away from keeping the law. She was deceived to break the law, right? So those who are not keeping the laws of the Most High are worshiping Satan. Those who are keeping the laws of the Most High are worshiping the Most High. So fornication, according to the Bible, is worshiping other gods, going to worship other gods. People do this in different ways. People do this in different ways. They do. I encourage you to read Deuteronomy chapter 13. When you get a chance, you can read Deuteronomy chapter 13. You see what the Most High said about this. So simply not worshiping, not keeping the laws of the Most High, that's an automatic idol worship right there. Because Satan is the god of this world, and Satan will deceive you away from, he would try whatever he can within his power to deceive you into not keeping the laws of the Most High. And if you buy into that deception, then you're worshiping Satan. That's why you see when Yeshua said to Peter, "Get thee away from me, you Satan," because Peter was about to go against the will of the Most High, and just like that, suddenly Yeshua turns on him. So if your wife is supposed to follow you in worshiping the Most High and keeping the laws of the Most High, not doing that, refusing to do that, can count towards fornication. And fornication, if you look at fornications throughout the Bible, it's typically Israelites going to join other nations in worshiping their God. If your wife is a Christian, that's fornication right there, because he's worshiping Christianity is a pagan religion that doesn't believe in keeping the law of the Most High. Christianity is a satanic religion. So yeah, in that case, would you want to live with a woman who doesn't keep the law? She could be feeding you shrimp. She could be feeding you all kinds of stuff. She could be on her period and wouldn't tell you that she's on her period. There's all kinds of stuff that could be going on, So, and I think I showed you the other day, Sirach 26:23. Sirach 26:20. I showed you that, and I also showed you Sirach 25:24-26. Check it out. Could you read it? Because it has to do with this. Because it goes like when Christ said, when Yeshua said that you cannot put away your wife except for fornication. And I'm trying to explain what fornication means. So I think Sirach chapter 25, verse 24-26 applies to this.
Sirach chapter 24.
No, 25, 24-26.
Okay. Sirach 25, 24-26. But the woman's sin had a beginning, and because of her, we all die. Allow water, no outlet, and no boldness of speech to a wicked woman. If she does not go along with you as you direct, cut her away from you.
Okay, so if she does not go along as you direct, cut her away from you.
Mm-hmm.
Christ also said that you cannot put away your wife except for fornication. You can't put away your wife except for fornication. Fornication is not sex. In Christianity, it means sex. And there's a reason why they do that. I'm not going to get into the reason why they misunderstand that. But fornication is idol worshiping. So, you see what happened in the Garden of Eden? That was fornication right there. What happened between Adam and Eve and Satan? That was a pure fornication. Eve committed fornication because her husband told her what to do, and her husband left, and Satan came, and she listened to Satan. And that was a typical example of fornication right there in the book of Genesis. When you look at what happened between Adam and Eve and Satan, that was a pure fornication. Because when she listened to Satan, she disobeyed her husband, and that disobedience to her husband was an automatic disobedience to the Most High. Because when what her husband told her was what the Most High told her husband. What her husband told her, it was what the Most High told her husband. So when she disobeyed her husband, she disobeyed the Most High. So that was the typical example of fornication, and that's what the Bible calls fornication. So when you look at the book of Sirach, chapter 25, verse 24-26, when you look at that, Sirach 25, 24-26, when you look at that, and you think of what Christ said, when Christ said that you cannot put away your wife except for fornication. So if you compare those two, when Sirach 25, 24-26 is telling you that if allow no outlet to water, if your wife does not go as you direct, separate her from yourself. So you compare that to what Christ said, that you're not allowed to divorce your wife except for fornication. So that fornication right there is idol worshiping. That's basically what it is talking about. It's not sex. And I think that you had a question about that, and you did explain it, and you're 100% right the way you explained it. It's about worshiping other gods and not worshiping the most. If I stop worshiping the Most High right now, um I'm committing idolatry. I'm committing idolatry because uh I mean, there's only one God. It's either I'm worshiping him or I'm worshiping Satan. Satan is here to deceive us away from keeping the law. So, so yeah, that's basically what fornication means.
Worshiping Jesus is idol worshiping. A lot of these Christians, they mainly just worship Jesus. They don't worship God. They worship Jesus.
Well, entire Christianity as a whole is a pagan religion. So it's it's idol worshiping. Um, like as I've said in the past, we don't worship Jesus. We don't. He doesn't even. We're not supposed to worship him. You know, he wants you to worship the Most High. There's only one God. We worship our Heavenly Father. So he is the creator that created you and I. He also created Christ. Yeshua was created. Yeshua is not God. Yeshua is the first son. He's the first creature. He's the first one. He's the first son. So we are all created by the Most High. We don't worship the Yeshua. We do understand who he is. We acknowledge who he is. We accept what the Most High used him to do for us. We accept that. We understand and accept that we can't get to the Most High without Yeshua HaMashiach. We need Christ. He's our advocate. He is our advocate, and he came to bring us back to the law, like he says in Matthew chapter 9:13. Matthew 9:13. I did not come for the righteous. I came to bring sinners to repentance. We are sinners. We were the ones enjoying sin and breaking the laws, but he came to bring us back to the laws. So we do accept Yeshua HaMashiach. He is our Savior. We listen to what he says because our Heavenly Father told us so in Deuteronomy chapter 18 verse 18. So we are not those Hebrew Israelites that refuse to accept that we need a Savior. We do need a Savior, but we understand that Christ came to bring us to the law. He came to bring us to keep the law. He did not come and die on the cross so I can go on to steal, cheat, rob, and murder and kill. That's not why he died. He died on the cross so that I can stop doing those things and begin to live my life according to the law. But we don't worship Christ. Even though we don't worship Christ, we still know that he is our Savior. We still know that he is our advocate, and that we cannot appear in front of the Most High without having him as our lawyer, as our advocate. So we understand that in the proper context, but we don't worship him. But Christianity as a whole is a pagan religion, and anybody who is in it, like us, should get out and start keeping the laws and the commandment, because Christianity keeps you away from keeping the laws and the commandment, which you have to keep in order to be allowed into the kingdom, according to Christ in Revelation 22:14. All right, so if we I want to go back to the question. I want to go back to the question that the brother asked, because we went from that question and we went to different places, but it was still within the realm of marriage issue. The question is, and the fact is that most Hebrew sisters don't know about this. They don't know about biblical marriage. Most Hebrews, not just women, men and women don't know about this. Even though you see these places in the New Testament, in the I like to call them the gospel. You see these places that shows it, but pastors who are living with women who are not their wives, they're not in the mood to present this. They're not in the mood to present it. So, it's a sad situation, and most people are living with those who are not their husband or those who are not their wives. They're living with them, and I like to remind you of Ezra chapter 10. When our ancestors was in Babylon, they married women that they should not have married. They married foreign women, like our people are doing today. Our people are marrying Chinese, white women, Latinos. These are foreign women to us. They are foreign to us. They are not Israelite. They are foreigners. So our ancestors did something similar, as you can see in Ezra chapter 10. After they did this, when they came back to Jerusalem, they realized what they did, that it was against the law. They had to put those women away and their children. There was no loophole. There was no excuse. They knew that their ignorance could not override the will of the Most High. So the fact is that we have so many sisters today who don't know these things, and so many of them are finding out. And the question is, are you saying that I have to be by myself for the rest of my life? Are you saying that that's the question that is coming up? Well, what's the alternative? The only alternative is to try to come up with a reason and justify and say that, God will understand. We are under grace. I was ignorant. I think God loves me. I think I'm a new creation. We can try to come up with all these Christian excuses, but it still doesn't change the fact, that no man that wants to keep the law will marry you based on what Christ said. Christ said that if you take a woman who is put away, you're committing adultery. That's what Christ said in Matthew chapter 5, verse 32, Matthew chapter 19, verse 9. He said to men that if you take a woman who is put away, you are committing adultery. So a man is supposed to marry a virgin or a widow. So this is going to be part of the price that we have to pay. And like as I said, I would love to encourage those who found themselves in this situation into a way to be able to deal with this issue and cope with this issue. Sometimes I talk with people privately, and I may give you some information that I may not necessarily give when I'm on the internet. There are certain ways to cope with this, but remember, while you are concerned, which you should, or I understand why you are concerned. While you're worried, while you are sad, remember that there are those who are quote unquote married right now who are trying to get out. There are those who live with men and they want to get out. They want to divorce. And then, so there are many people like that. So you're not really missing much, because marriage is no longer being done the way it's supposed to be done. The way we do marriage today is according to the white man, according to the Europeans. That's how we do marriage today, which is wrong. More than 50% of the marriage in America ends in divorce. So, and then you have the heathen, the Catholic nuns, those Catholics, these women that choose not to get married, even though they are wrong, even though they are blind, they are following a pagan religion, but they still choose not to get married. I'm not saying that you should be celebrating not getting married, but I'm just trying to point out, just so you see that it's not the end of the world. My intention, my goal is to help you to keep the commandment, and I don't want to advise you into something that you will break the commandment of the Most High, because I will be held responsible if I advise you to break the commandment of the Most High. And honestly, it's not the end of the world. I think our salvation should be number one. Our salvation should be priority, and that should be number one. And there are certain things that we may want that we can't get. If you look at Matthew 26, our Savior got on his knees. Matthew 26, he prayed about 3 times. He was begging the Most High. Christ was begging the Most High to not let him die the way he was going to die. The Most High ignored him. The Most High did not answer that prayer. He ignored him. So there are certain things that we may want from the Most High that we're not going to get. We're not going to get it just because we want it. So there's going to be sacrifices. We're going to have to make some sacrifices. My sister, could you put on some head covering? I think I'm seeing a sister. If you can put on some head covering. So there's going to be so now, as I was saying, there will be some sacrifices, and some of them will be painful. There will be some sacrifices. I've given you two examples. When Reuben had sex with his father's wife, the fact that Jacob could never touch his wife, do you think that was fun? That was painful. When these Hebrews had to put away those kids and their mothers, do you think that was fun? So there will be sacrifices, my brothers and sisters. I really feel for my sisters, especially for those who wants to keep the law. I care only about sisters that want to keep the law. I hate sisters who don't want to keep the law. I really do. I hate them. I only love those who wants to keep the law. So I care for you. I really feel for you. I understand your situation. We all have had our situation. I have my situation. I told you a little bit of that today. I still have my situation till today. It's not easy. This is a struggle. This is a journey. This is not a religion. This is a lifestyle. This is our heritage. We're trying to go back to who we are. It's not going to be easy. This is not Christianity. So there will be sacrifices. And again, I really wish that there's a loophole to this. If there's a loophole to this, I would have told you. I would have loved to find it. I would have loved to find it. I've seen sisters that I've seen people that I'll probably want to marry, but I can't marry them. So if anybody is going to find a loophole about this, I'll probably be one of those people. Because if you notice, most people don't talk about this. I have not seen anybody who is putting video about this, who is putting video out about this. Most people just ignore this. So I gave you example with my own sister, who I will never go to her so-called wedding when she wants to do it, because I know that man will not be her husband. It is what it is. This is the reason why you see that very few people will make it into the kingdom. Very few people will make it into the kingdom, because most people will not care about these things. And our ignorance, our lack of understanding, our desire can never redefine marriage, my brothers and sisters. Marriage is what it is. A woman is supposed to be a virgin. You take her virginity, she's your wife. She's supposed to keep her virginity only for her husband. That's marriage. Now we've abandoned these things and we followed the white man, and we ended up in this mess. So the repentance is not going to be easy. It will not be easy. In Matthew chapter 19, when that rich man was told to go sell what he has and give to the poor and come and follow Yeshua, was that easy? No, he walked away. Like the kingdom of heaven, it's not going to be easy. There are people that lost their lives, that was killed and slaughtered for this. Like there are people that paid real price. So I do understand the need to be with someone. I totally get it. But even though that's a need that is necessary, your salvation is way more important than that. And if these heathen can go and sign up to become a Catholic nun and never ever get married in their life, I think you can do it. Because you know what? I mean, come on. If we're talking about sex, you've had enough sex compared to these women that are at their young age, at a very young age, they go sign up to become a nun. Some of them are still virgins till today. So you've been around the block. You have had all these men that you've had. And then now you're coming into the truth. You're realizing the situation. What I'm trying to say is that you're not going to die. Just try to condition yourself. What does it say in Romans chapter 12 verse 2? Do not conform to the ways of this world, but transform your mind. We have to, accept it for what it is and try to adjust and live according to this law. There will be moments, there will be night that you will feel like cuddling. Like as I said, marriage is not all about sex. Sometimes you need someone to talk to. There will be moments that you need someone to cuddle, somebody to talk to and stuff like that. Yeah, there will be those times. But that's going to be the price for your salvation. And we should really accept this situation and move and be grateful, because look at the kind of lives that we live. Look at some of us did abortion. We did all kinds of stuff. You either did abortion, we the men, we encourage women to do abortion. We've done all kinds of evil. So let us not be brats. Let us not try to repent on our own terms. No, we should come to this law and look at this law and take it for what it is, and make changes that we have to make. There are things that we don't want to give up, but we have to give it up. That is repentance right there. The Most High is watching us right now, just like as it was in the time of Noah. Very soon, these nuclear bombs are going to start going off from North Korea, Iran, America, Russia. These things, Isaiah chapter 24 will come to pass. So let us not approach the Most High as spoiled little brat demanding what we want, but rather let's approach the Most High in humbleness. In humbleness, acknowledging our sins and trying to move on. Is it going to be easy? No. But we cannot be demanding that the definition of marriage according to the Most High should change because we were ignorant. No, we can't do that. But rather we should repent. I've been dealing with people on this issue. I have seen sisters. I've seen a sister that, she saw the situation. It is what it is, and she's willing to accept it. I've seen other sisters that look at the situation and, there was a sister that was like, I don't want to be by myself. And she followed some brother and I think she became pregnant. And, so who told you? If you have the attitude of that sister and you're like, well, I don't want to be by myself for the rest of my life. That's what she said. If you have that attitude on this issue, and you say that you don't want to be by yourself, so you go ahead to ignore what the Most High said on this issue, and then you go and start being with someone. If you do that, what makes you think that the person you're going to be with will be with you for the rest of your life? What makes you think that? We live in a very wicked world right now. We live in a very dangerous, wicked world, extremely wicked world. So what makes you think that this man you want to be with will be with you for the rest of your life? What makes you think that? So again, I am pleading. I don't usually plead with people. Usually I rebuke, I curse, but I'm pleading with you that you, whoever you are, wherever you are, if you're listening to my voice, to all my sisters who wants to keep the law, what I'm trying to share with you here is to approach the Most High on this issue with humbleness. Accept your situation and be grateful that at least you have a shot to salvation. Accept it for what it is. You could go out today and a man will marry you and tomorrow he will die of a car crash. What are you going to do? Are you going to kill yourself? There are those who are doing wedding right now and their so-called husband will die tomorrow. There's somewhere in the world right now, there are those who are doing wedding, because in some places in the world, it's Saturday right now. In some parts of the world, so they're already into Saturday or whatever. So there are those who are getting married today and those who will get married tomorrow. By next week, the husband will be dead. The wife will be dead. Are they going to kill themselves? So what makes you think that fulfilling this one desire, once you do it, everything will be fine and everything? No. There are those who are living with men right now and they're trying to get out. There are those who are living with women and they're trying to get out. Marriage is no longer what it used to be, and you're not missing anything. You are not missing out. Marriage is no longer being done the way it used to be done. Now we're doing it according to the white man. And it's a disaster. It's a disaster. It's been a disaster and it will get worse. So you're not missing much. If these heathen, like as I said before, if these heathens can go sign up to become a Catholic nun, I think that you, a true daughter of a true daughter of Israel, I think you can do it. I think you can do it in humbleness. And also, why don't you spend your time and try to help the younger ones? Why not do that? Would you like young people to come back in about 5 years or 10 years and begin to feel the way you feel right now? This is what I give to people. I give this to young people because I don't want young people to come back in the future and feel and learn about this and feel bad and that nobody told them. So I put something together. I put this together and I give it to young people. I made one for men, women, boys, and girls. So that's how I put it together. This is very simple. This is what I give to young people. I also give it to parents to give to their children. It says, please do not have sex until your wedding night. God wants every girl to keep her virginity until her wedding night. Don't lose your virginity until your wedding night. If you do, God will punish you. Read Deuteronomy chapter 22. So I intentionally made it to be very simple because I know that if you give people something, I have a longer one. This is much longer. It's almost the same thing. This is a much longer with more scripture and stuff, but I know that I probably won't read this. Most people will not read this. So I made a smaller version. Because today, it used to be that your mom would talk to you about sex. Women used to do their job. Women of these days don't do their job anymore. Everything is upside down. Everything has been flipped upside down. Up is down, down is up. Men are women now. Men are acting like women. Men today are weak, very weak, spiritually, psychologically, mentally. It's terrible. So men has been conditioned and has been shamed into being feminine, being weak, and women has been propped up to quote unquote be strong and powerful. That's the filthy world that we live in today. Everything has been screwed up upside down. So you don't do your job anymore. Your primary purpose, look at Titus chapter 2 that we read earlier. I've asked this question. For those of you that have young girls, when was the last time that you talked to your daughter about sex? When was the last time? When was the last time you talked to your daughter about sex? When was the last time you told your son that he cannot have sex until his wedding night? We don't do that anymore. Everything has been flipped upside down. We allow our children to get out there dressing like whores with tight clothes, and a boy will become interested in her and she doesn't know what to say. She wouldn't know how to respond because you don't do your job. You need to talk to these kids. Girls have no good reason to give. Girls have no good excuse to give. I have been there. I've been with them. Young girls these people have no good excuse. Back in the day, that's why I say talk to old people. If you talk to a young girl back in the day, she's talking about marriage. She would tell you, come talk to my mom. Come talk to my dad. You want me? Fine. Go talk to my dad and my mom. That's how they used to respond. Look at Judges chapter 14. Samson saw a young girl that he wants to marry. Samson went home and talked to his parents to go marry that girl for her. That's the way it used to be. We live in a whorehouse world. We live in a whorehouse world run by the most filthiest and the most dirtiest people on the face of the planet, the Europeans. They run this world. It's a whorehouse. It's a whorehouse. So your daughters get out there, your sons get out there. She's walking around. A boy takes her number and start lying to her. Oh, I'm thinking about you. I was thinking about you. Blah, blah. And she believes him. Can we hang out? And they're together. And he's putting his hand all over her. She doesn't know what to say because you did not teach her a simple biblical principle. No man can touch you until your wedding night. Sex is good. But according to the Most High, you can only have sex after your bride price is paid. When you equip them with this information, they will be able to know what to say. You want me? Go talk to my mom. Go talk to my dad. And in this way, she will be able to weed out dogs that just want her for her body. We don't teach these things anymore. Parents no longer talk about sex with their children. And that's what Satan wants. That is what Satan wants. You go to South Africa. They are doing virginity test every year. These are women in South Africa that test their daughters every year. They will literally, these girls will come out and lay down and spread their legs, and their mothers will check them. Guess who wanted to stop that? Guess who wanted to end the virginity test in South Africa? The Arabs? No. The Asians? No. The Africans? No. The Latinos? No. The Europeans? Yes, of course. The seed of Satan. The seed of Satan says that women in South Africa who gathers once a year in a square, somewhere, whatever, to check their daughters, that these women are violating the human right of their daughters. That's what white people say. I'm not making this up. Look it up online. Look it up online. The Europeans say that that's against the girl's human right. So the white people in Europe cares more about girls in South Africa who are being, their women will check their daughter's virginity. And this is a beautiful thing. This is a good thing because he makes these girls to keep their legs closed and not become whores until their wedding night. But Europeans are trying to stop this. White people are trying to stop this. I'm not making this up. They are trying to stop it. So you have to understand that we are in a war. We are in a war. There are girls right now who are virgins. They don't know about these things. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, not even 20 years is too far. 6-7 years from now, they will begin to learn about this and they will become devastated. They will feel like, wow, I wish I was told. I wish I knew. I don't know. I have never seen any woman that celebrates, oh, I lost my virginity and I'm so happy. I have never seen any woman that loses her virginity to a random man. And so every woman that lost her virginity to some random man, they always regret it. They always regret it. After, of course, because they would rather lose their virginity to a man who is their husband, who actually loves them. No woman will lose her virginity to some random guy and then celebrate it and be happy. So these are things that as we are worrying about ourselves right now, we have to also worry about the younger ones. We have to reach out to the younger ones And while you talk to them and discuss these things, also remember that the way they dress matters a lot, because when they dress moderately, it actually turns away whoremongers. It turns away the kind of men that I call dogs, and I used to be one of them. It turns away dogs, because when we do see women that dress moderately, we know that they are hard to get, and which is good for them, because we don't really want them. We just want their body, and you don't want a man that only wants your body. You don't want a man that only wants your body, or you don't want a man around your daughter that only wants her body, because this is the reason why, after some time, they quote unquote break up. They will break up, and that will be the end of it. You don't want that. And sometimes she's stuck with 2 or 3 kids, and he will move on to the next girl, and you just don't. We have to get back to the scriptures and do this biblically. So while we worry about ourselves and talk about ourselves, we have to remember that we have young people who are coming up behind us, and we cannot fold our hands and watch these people, watch them make the same mistakes that we've made. Once you lose your virginity, it's gone. You never get it again. You only get one, and that is supposed to be, you're supposed to give it to your husband, but unfortunately we are giving it to dogs. We're giving it to dogs who don't appreciate it, and it's whoredom in the sight of the Most High. So it's a sad situation that we find ourselves in, and unfortunately there's no way, there's nothing you could do about it. I'm not gonna lie to you, and there's no alternative. There's no scripture. If there is, I would have seen it and I would have used it. I would have seen it and I would have used it. What do I mean by using it? Because like as I said, the Bible also condemns men from marrying women who are put away. So if a girl loses her virginity and she's no longer with the man that took her virginity, then she's put away, and Christ said that you cannot marry her. That is Matthew chapter 5:32 and Matthew 19 verse 9. So I understand how painful this is. I also understand, that not everybody will accept it. Unfortunately, not everybody will accept it. So, but again, salvation is not for everybody. Matthew 22:14. Many are called, few are chosen. Many are called, few are chosen. Not everybody will accept it, but salvation is not for everybody either. So at the end of the day, you are going to have to make up your mind, like it says in Philippians 2:12. Walk out your salvation with fear and trembling. You're going to have to make some sacrifices. It's not going to be easy to get through this. You have to make some sacrifices, but there's no other way. I was going to try and see if I can show you something, but I can't find it here right now. I was going to show you some pictures, but it doesn't seem to be available, I guess. It used to be, but I think I've shown it to you before in the past, but I can't see it right now. So all praises to our Heavenly Father. Please, if you do have any more question relating to this, open up your mic and go ahead and speak. Like I always say, I always tell you, there's no end to this. We can always talk about this anytime. You can always ask about this. You can always bring it up, and I will never tell you, okay, we've dealt with this enough. Like we've done. No, I will never do that. So think, brother, go ahead. I think you wanted your mic is open. Is that you? Is that your brother Aliyahu? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, your phone is breaking up. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Okay. When it's a little bit confusing, right? Because when I went to when I was addressing fornication, not being dealing with sexual promiscuity or something like that. The scriptures in First Corinthians chapter 7, like 15 and 14 and 15, no longer make any sense. And then because if you go to the Greek, if you go to the Strong's Concordance in the Greek, it says that fornication is in Greek is a Greek word porneia, which you get porn, so we get the word pornography from, which means the graphic or the videotaping or pictures of porn, of unlawful sex. So the word fornication means unlawful sex. It was including all levels of an unlawful sex, so interracial marriage, homosexuality, bestiality, having sex with animals, incest. All of those were listed under fornication, meaning that if anybody did any one of these things, that they were completely defiled. So it was including adultery, which is directly dealing with a woman's husband or vice versa. But fornication was the covering of what the Greek word porneia was listing everything. So because the reason I'm saying that, because in 1 Corinthians 7:15 it says that if an unbeliever is pleased to dwell with the person, that you can't put them away, that because the children are sanctified by the believer. So it's saying that you probably 9 times out of 10 before Christ came, you would be Yeshua came. A lot of people were already married to unbelievers, and they probably didn't begin to believe. But it doesn't say, like it says, you can't put them away anyway. That's something that you're gonna have to deal with. But it says if they decide to leave, then you're free from that bondage and still having to deal with them and serve them, regardless of the fact they disbelieve. And that's why I'm saying that. I know it does include idolatry within Israel, but I'm saying in general, it does also include sex, unlawful sex.
Yes, you're 100% right. You're 100% right, and thank you for you're right. It includes sex. What I gave you was a general overview. So you can break it down. What I said is that, if you're keeping the law and your wife stops keeping the law, she's now like worshiping a different god. And that's why I quoted the book of Sirach 25 verse 24 to 26 that tells you, it says what it says: if she does not go as you direct, separate yourself from her. So so it was a general overview which you can go on to break down. So if that's why I also showed you Jubilees chapter 33. So as you said, it also includes sexual sin, as you can see in Deuteronomy chapter 24. So it does include sexual sin, yes. Which I think we pointed out in Jubilees chapter 33. If another man lays with your wife, then you can't lay with her anymore. So that's sexual sin, right? That's sexual sin. You cannot lay with her from that moment on, because she's defiled. Because you're only supposed to be with one woman. I'm sorry. You're only supposed to be with her when she's a virgin. If another man be with her when you're alive, then she's defiled. So what I explained was based on Sirach 25, 24, and 26, talking about basically if a woman decides to not keep the commandments anymore, that's kind of a problem, because that can result to what you see in the Garden of Eden. Okay, so I also brought up the issue of Jacob, which has to do with sex. Yes, so you're 100% right. You're absolutely right. But most of the time when the Bible talks about fornication, you could look it up. I think we've done this before, and there's a video on YouTube about this, which I went through the scriptures, some of the places that talked about this. Typically, fornication is basically about idol worship, and typically it's talking about Israel. I know what you quoted was from the New Testament. Typically, when you read fornication in the Torah or in the prophecy, or like in the what they call the Old Testament, it's typically talking about nation of Israel fornicating with other nations or other gods, meaning that they worshipped other gods with or the gods of other nation. That is fornication according to the Bible. But it can also have to do with it can also do with sex. That's why I say that you're 100% right. So
in order to say that they like to have version, they like to say that fornication doesn't mean that they talking about Virginia is talking about idolatry. So they will leave one woman so they can jump to another one. They use that to switch it up. That's why I had to go study it, and I'm about to include both. So they would try to say that she don't have to be a virgin. The fornication that most I was talking about is idolatry. So that's why they try to switch it up. So that's all I was addressing.
yeah, and the Most High too. The Most High put us away, right? I mean, we're put away right now. Why? Well, he told us why. Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 11 to 16. So we are kind of put away right now. I also suggest you read Ezekiel 23. So right now we are actually, the Most High described the house of Israel as his wife. So we are put away right now. The difference is that he's going to take us back, but he's not going to take back everybody. He will only take back those who keep the commandment. Those that keep the commandment are the ones that he's going to take back. So in a way, yeah, that's again, it's about the nation of Israel. That's what I see in the scripture. That's what I've seen in the scripture. And that's what I try to show you. It's typically the nation of Israel. It's typically the nation of Israel joining other nations to worship their God. That's fornication. If you have a wife, if she commits adultery, that's an adultery. That is also sin. Same thing with fornication. A sin is a sin. So the problem is that in Christianity, they just mix up adultery and fornication together, and which should not be surprising. We shouldn't be surprised about that. Why? Because Christianity itself is a pagan religion. It's a wicked, satanic religion. So we shouldn't be surprised that they will mix it up. But it's when you say that it has to do with sex, I agree with you. You're 100% right. It also has to do with sex, because committing adultery could be, that's still fornication. If we go against the law of the Most High, we're fornicating with Satan, because Satan is the Bible says in 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 4, 2 Corinthians 4:4, that Satan is the god of this world. So if I lie right now, I'm fornicating with Satan. If I break the Sabbath, I'm fornicating with Satan. So yeah. Does anyone else, or you could open up your mic, please, and or else we'll go on to another question if there's any other thing that we have to deal with.
Yes, well, if nobody else has a question, then I wanted to ask about Deuteronomy 23, verse 2.
Does it have to, okay, I guess we're done with this one. But before we close, Brother David, could you come back? Brother, can you hear me? Brother David or Brother David, can you hear me?
Yes, my brother, I can hear you.
All right. So based on your question, based on the question that you brought up, so what do you think? What's this? Do you understand what we just went through right now? Do you understand the answer and everything that we went through?
Yes, very clearly.
Okay.
I thought that was very detailed. Those particular scriptures. We also talked about some of those things the other day, which were very clear. There is not quite sure how much Deuteronomy 24 has to do with this as well. Is there anything in Deuteronomy 24 that is in connection to what you shared with me?
Yeah. Yeah, Deuteronomy 24 has to do with this, of course. Deuteronomy 24 is the reason why you have what you see in the book of Jubilees, chapter 33. That was the reason why Jacob couldn't touch his wife again. So it's related to Deuteronomy 24. So Deuteronomy 24, it depends on what, like I explained earlier today, that in King James, it seems like Moses was telling them to put away their wives. In the New King James, you see that he was telling them, if you put away your wife and she go on to be with another man, you can't take her back. So the way it was translated in King James is that was a poor translation, which they changed in the New King James. So where you read about this matters. So in the New King James, you see that he was telling them, don't do it. If you do it, you can't take her back. Okay, so yeah, Deuteronomy 24 has to do with this. I think that the whole subject, the whole topic, it's very difficult. It's really difficult because the actual answer is difficult. It's tough. It's painful, and I really acknowledge it. I understand. I totally do understand. The answer to this is difficult, and you can imagine what our ancestors went through when they came out of Babylon, according to Exodus chapter 10, and they had to get rid of their wives and their children. This is not easy. I totally understand. So whenever I get this question, it's not really, I mean, it's not a good news in terms of because we're human beings, we have emotions and feelings. So we want to keep the law. But some laws are depending on our circumstances. Some laws are, I know of a brother that had to separate from the woman that he lives with. After many years of living together, they separated. They have children. He moved out. They separated. So no, if you're going to separate, like when he did that, I don't think the woman will be like, oh, this is such a good news. I don't think the woman will be like, oh, okay, I get it, I understand, I accept it. No, of course not. Actually, I know a brother too that the sister that she wants to, they were, when he found out about this and he decided to leave her, she took a knife and wanted to stab him. She literally wanted to stab him. So this is a very difficult situation, because we have married women according to the ways of man, according to the worldly system, and now we're realizing who we are. We're realizing that we have to go back to the biblical system, to the ways of the Most High. It's tough. I get it. It's very difficult. It's not an easy subject to address. Very difficult, and I do acknowledge that. But there's no, if you're looking for an answer, or if anybody is looking for an answer, like, is there a way you can still, like, there's no other way. I mean, if there is, I will tell you. And if this is not what it is, I won't even present it, because I understand the consequence of people leaving their wives, the women that they live with, and the children. I understand, and I always encourage the men, take care of your children. take care of your children. When you if this happens, then you still have to be there for your children. You can no longer have sex with her, but you still need to provide for your children and be there for them and provide for them. So that this doesn't excuse you from taking care of your children and being there for them and raising them according to the law. So it's a very difficult question and difficult subject. I totally acknowledge that, but it is what it is. It's like when someone is sick and they go to the hospital and they find out that you have a very deadly, dangerous disease. I mean, they're not gonna try to not hurt your feelings and not tell you the truth. They will tell you the truth. They will tell you it's going to be painful, you're going to cry, you're going to mourn, but the thing is, okay, it is what it is. Let's find out how to cope with this, how to deal with this. That would be the wise thing to do. So all praises to our Heavenly Father. So I encourage all involved. You can always ask the question. You can always contact me and ask. You can always. I'm always open to this. If you want, if you have any question, like whatever. If you need advice or whatever, like I'm always. But if you do live with a man and he did not take your virginity, he is not your husband. According to the Most High, you have to leave. You have to leave this man. If you live with a woman and she lost her virginity to some other guy and then being with other women, other men, and then you married her, she's not your wife. You have to leave him. You have to leave her. She is not your wife in the sight of the Most High. The weddings that we've done, marriage that we've done, is according to the worldly system. Biblically, all you had to do is pay a bride price and take her virginity. That's it. Biblically. You don't have to wear no tuxedo, no wedding gown, no going to the church, none of that. So we have to, this is all part of being set apart, repentance. We have to abandon the ways of the world and go back to the ways of the Most High and acknowledge, we screwed up. We did it the wrong way. There are consequences, and the consequences is what we're dealing with right now. So all praises to our Heavenly Father. Does anyone else have anything about this before we move on to a different question that the other brother had? If not, we'll close this one and we'll move on to the next one. Okay. Yes. Go. Yeah. Go ahead. I can hear you now.
It's my understanding that there are 3 separate Hebrew words that have been used in the original writings of Scripture that mean different forms of the word divorce. I don't know how to pronounce them, so forgive it. The one is to be put away. The other one is a certificate of divorce. And the third meaning is to be cut off. And in Deuteronomy 24, it speaks of the certificate of divorce, which is why the woman was allowed to have a second husband. Are you familiar with that, and can you speak to that? The 3 different meanings of divorce, and is there any substance to that?
Okay, so what we will do is that we're going to go back to Matthew, because Christ spoke about this. Matthew chapter 19. Brother, if you can go back there. You read that earlier. Christ spoke exactly about this. So Christ spoke about Matthew 24. So right now, you are asking me about Deuteronomy 24. My brother, go to Matthew 19, because the sister is asking me about Deuteronomy 24. So what I want to do right now, because Christ, Yeshua, addressed Deuteronomy 24, let's read what he said, because what he said will give us an understanding of what was going on in Deuteronomy chapter 24. So Matthew chapter
how does that then alter, if at all, what's in Deuteronomy 24 and wherever else it speaks of divorce within the Bible, because we don't have those different meanings in place in our English written version. It's just the one word divorce, but they have three different meanings depending on which Hebrew word was used.
Okay. So because we don't have that, what I want to do is let's actually go and read what Christ said about that situation, because that will help us to understand it better. Like the man that lived 2,000 years ago, I'm assuming we'll have more understanding of Deuteronomy 24 compared to us who are living in 2020. You know, we're very far away. We've lost a lot of things. So Christ spoke about Deuteronomy 24. So if we're going to get understanding of Deuteronomy 24 about those words and their meanings, let's start from where he addressed it, and then we go from there. So if we could read Deuteronomy, Matthew chapter 19, Matthew 19 verse 8, and actually we're going to have to back up a little bit because they asked him a question. So they asked Christ a question in Matthew chapter 19. There was a question that was posed to him, and he was answering the question. So let's back up a little bit up on Matthew. So if the brother can start from let's start from verse.
Sorry, brother. It's fading in and out your microphone.
Okay. Okay, so let's start from verse. So Matthew 19. Let's start from verse 1 actually. And then we get down to let's start from verse 1 and then get down to verse 8 and 9. Starting from verse 1, my brother, if you could read Matthew 19 from verse 1.
Now it came to pass, when Yeshua had finished these things, that he departed from Galilee and came to the region of Judea beyond the Jordan. And great multitudes followed him, and he healed them there. The Pharisees also came to him, testing him and saying to him, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for just any reason? And he answered and said to them, have you not read that he who made them at the beginning made them male and female, and said, for this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh? So then they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what Yah has joined together, let no man separate. They said to him, why then did Moshe command to give a certificate of divorce and to put her away? He said to them, Moshe, because of the hardness of your hearts, permitted you to divorce your wives, but from the beginning it was not so. And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, and marries her, commits adultery, and whoever marries her who is divorced commits adultery.
Okay, so what we have here is, thank you very much, brother. So what we have here is,
yes,
this is complete explanation of Deuteronomy chapter.
He was describing and explaining Deuteronomy chapter 24. That's why I wanted us to come and read this. So in Deuteronomy chapter 24, we read what we read there. And the question that the sister is asking me is that word has three meanings. It has three meanings, and we may not have all the meanings. So what I said is, let's go and read what Christ said there, because the way he addressed it will give us a better understanding. So if you listen to what we just read right now, you see that from the beginning, the Most High never allowed divorce. The Most High never permitted divorce. And this goes in line with what he said in Deuteronomy chapter 22. Divorce is not the idea of the Most High. And they said, okay, okay, why did Moses permit us to divorce our wife? He said, he's basically saying that no, Moses did not permit you. It's because of the hardness of your heart, the wickedness of your heart. I have it over here. Let me continue that. So it says, they said to him, verse 7, Matthew 19:7. Matthew 19:7. They said unto him, why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away? Verse 8. He said unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your heart, suffered you to put away your wives. But from the beginning it was not so. Verse 8. He said unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your heart. So, if you also remember, I think we should back up to Matthew chapter 5. Let's get to Matthew chapter 5, please. Matthew 5. Matthew 5. Matthew chapter 5. And thank you to the Most High and to you, my brothers and sisters, for the good Sabbath feast that you're giving me, because I love this. Is like a food to me right now. I love feasting on the word of the Most High. So Matthew chapter 5 that we read earlier, verse 32. Brother, could you read verse 31 and 32 again for me, please? Matthew chapter 5, 31 and 32. I just want you to see that verse 31. So please, everyone, listen carefully. Listen carefully.
All right. Furthermore, it has been said, whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce. But I say to you that whoever divorces his wife for any reason except sexual immorality causes her to commit adultery. And whoever marries a woman who is divorced commits adultery.
So in verse 31, thank you, my brother. In verse 31, he said, it has been said. It has been said. It has been said. In other places, Christ will tell you, it is written. It is written. In Luke chapter 4, he kept saying, it is written, thou shalt not tempt the Lord your God. It is written. The Most High gave us laws that was written down. Like when they said that why does your disciples, why are they eating without washing their hands? It wasn't written, it was said. So you have to understand that the Hebrews began to make up their own laws. They began to say stuff and pass it down to their children. That's what these devils will try to tell you, that they call it oral law. They take it more serious than the actual scripture, oral law. So why will Christ tell you here in Matthew 5, verse 31, that it has been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writings of divorcement? Who said that? That's the question we have to ask. Who said that? So he's telling you in Matthew 5:31 that it has been said. Verse 32, but I'm telling you, yeah, it's been said. If you want to get rid of your wife, write her a piece of paper and give it to her. Let her go. It's been said. Verse 32, but I'm telling you that if you do put away your wife, you're causing her to commit adultery. So Christ did not care about what was said. He doesn't care about that. He cares about what is written. So the idea of writing a piece of paper and giving to a woman and send her away, that's not the will of the Most High. That is not an idea from the Most High. That was an idea from our ancestors. And you see how Christ condemned it. I'm reading from King James. You see how Christ condemned it in Matthew 5:31. It has been said, whoever wants to put away his wife, let him write her a piece of divorcement. It has been said. But I'm telling you, if you do it, you're causing her to commit adultery. And if you marry somebody who has been put away, if you marry someone who is put away, so if I marry a woman who has a piece of paper that was given to her by her husband, and she's been put away. If I marry her, I'm committing adultery. So what Christ is telling you here is that he doesn't accept this new system that we created, this new idea that you can ignore the Most High and put your wife away. Christ does not accept it. That's what you can clearly see here. And that was why I brought you back to the word of Christ, because that will help us to understand the book of Deuteronomy chapter 24. Deuteronomy 24, if you read it and you look up the word about divorce means to be put away. That's basically, they didn't use the word divorce. Divorce is a new word. The idea, what we call divorce today, biblically, it's the idea that you take a woman and you take her virginity and she's your wife, and then you don't want her anymore. That's divorce. You're putting her away. That's what it means. And there's also some cultural context, understanding that you need to have about this. You see, back then, during the time of our ancestors, it's not like today. So today, you could go get a job. You, as a woman, can go get a job right now and buy a house and buy a car, have your apartment, have your gardener, have your maid or whatever. It wasn't so back then. So back then, you can be put away, and when you get put away by your husband, you're heading back straight to your father's house. Typically, people just go back home. Judges 19. Judges 19. Judges chapter 19. She left her husband's house and she headed back home to her father's house. The Most High also, so the thing is, the only best way to explain the idea of the idea of divorce is not from the Most High. The Most High did not permit divorce. No one can show you where the Most High permits divorce. The Most High does not permit divorce. It's not biblical. It was something that our ancestor made up. Okay. So, my sister, could you come back? Could you come back on? Open up your mic. I think your mic is still off. You can come back.
I'm here.
Okay. So do you understand? Because you asked me a question. Your question is about the word divorce. And what I'm trying to show you is that the whole concept of divorce was never approved by the Most High. We came up with that, and Christ condemns it. Christ was basically telling us that, like, he doesn't care what we're coming up with. He doesn't care about the idea. That's why he said, it has been said. Who said that? So he said, it's been said, but I'm telling you, you can't do it. You can't put her away. You cannot put away your wife. If you do, you're causing her to commit adultery. And you're not supposed to cause your wife to commit adultery. Because once you put her away, you put her in a very difficult situation. You put her in a situation where she's vulnerable in different ways. She's by herself. She's going to have needs. She's going to have all kinds of situations. So you're causing her to commit adultery. That's why you don't do that. You don't put her away. So I don't care what has been said. That's basically what he's saying. I don't care what has been said, because that thing that was said was not said by the Most High. The Most High gave us what was written in Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 28 and 29. And the Most High said you can't put her away all your life. We, being who we are, being rebellious, being stiff-necked, of course, we figured out a way to change what the Most High said, and then just say, yeah, you could put her away. Just give her a writing of divorce. The Most High never said that. We came up with that idea. So, does that answer your question, my sister?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, does anyone else have any question relating to this before we we move on and catch up with brother's question. He has a question about Deuteronomy 23, but I want to make sure we cover this. And as always, we will continue to deal with this. Okay, we will continue to deal with this. I don't want to say it this way, but I mean, I don't want to say, I don't want to lie either. But what I'm trying to say is that, I would love to see a way, I don't know if you want to call it a good solution to this, but this is a difficult situation. It's a difficult situation. Like all these Hebrews who are marrying all these foreign women, they're screwed. Go read the book of Jubilees chapter 30. There's no way to get around this. It's like a man who is not circumcised. You must be circumcised according to Jubilees chapter 15, and also you can read Jubilees chapter 16 too. There's no way around it. Yes, I know it's going to hurt. It's going to be painful because it's easier to do when you're young. There's no way. It's a difficult subject. I get it. It's difficult. There's no way around this. There's not. It's no way. It's not being talked about because majority of these Hebrew Israelites, our brothers and sisters, majority of them they're living with people who are not their wives. So they don't talk about this. Some years ago, Pastor Dal, I guess somebody sent him the video or whatever. He watched the video and he said, "You're out of your mind." That's what he told me. And I'm like, could you elaborate more? Like, you can't just watch a video with a bunch of scripture and your answer is out of... No. Show me how it's wrong. Show me. You can't just watch it and call me names. Show me how it's wrong. So, most of these Hebrew Israelite men are living with people who are not their wives. And this is tough. This is difficult to deal with. But it is what it is. It is what it is. It's, if anybody have any question relating to it, go ahead and ask or whatever, bring it up, or else we are moving on to deal with Deuteronomy chapter 23. No, hold on. Go ahead again. Go on again. Go ahead. Start from the beginning, brother.
Oh, I said I believe this topic is probably the most unspoken or difficult topic of all topics.
Yes.
Sexual needs is very important. I think people, like I said, and even when you see these Hebrew camps speak in the streets, you never even see them condemn the sisters at all. And I'm pretty sure, most Hebrew sisters, I'm pretty sure they are defiled, but you never even see them. You never even see them. I mean, I don't know for a fact, but at least the videos I've seen, I've never even seen this topic even brought up at all, ever. And I even, I'm a nobody. I've been in the truth for like a year, but I know what I read. I even offered to debate on camera a popular Hebrew Israelite who's on YouTube, and he won't respond to me. So I know for a fact he doesn't want to talk about this. So I think I can debunk his beliefs. I think he doesn't want the truth to be out, or maybe they know the truth. I don't know, but as far as I believe, if a man and a woman, they do care for each other and they don't want to separate, I believe, like I said, the Bible says with God, everything's possible. I believe you can be I don't see no scripture that condemns you for living with somebody. You can live with anybody you want to. The problem is sex. But if you can refrain from having sex, there's other ways to be intimate with somebody without actually physically being intimate, without actually having physical intercourse. I believe you don't have to separate from your wife if y'all been together for years. Y'all still love each other if y'all truly understand it and just realize, okay, we're just gonna have to stop having sex. I mean, you can. I don't want to say you just separate from her. You go your separate way. I believe it's very possible. And it's going to be hard, but it's hard. Period. To keep the law. It's hard. Period. But
All right.
If you really, I believe it's possible. I'm not.
No. Look, brother. Okay, it could be possible for you, brother. You're dealing with a loaded gun. Okay, you're dealing with a loaded gun here. Okay, so I don't do this, but I have to stop you, my brother, because this is a very difficult and a salvational issue. Okay, so the truth is that I don't know the last time you had sex. Are you a virgin? You are not a virgin. Okay, men are not really virgins, and you can ask me about that. We can address it. But what I'm saying is that, have you ever had sex? That's what I mean, brother. Absolutely not. No. What you said is not right. Okay, and that has to be corrected. Okay, so I got a phone call. Some months ago, and this brother has a question. So he's living with this young girl, and the young girl had some problem with her husband. They had some fight or something. They had some issue. So I guess she needed a place to stay, and he let her stay in his house. So obviously he has seen the video about biblical marriage. So he called me and said, hey, this is my situation. This girl is staying in my house. She has a problem with her husband. Can she stay in my house? I said, no, she cannot stay in your house. Brother, have you ever been hungry and there's no food in your house and there's no water in your house? Try this. Whenever you run out of water, I'm giving you a practical example. Whenever you have no food or water, your hunger and your thirst is worse. Sometimes you're thirsty, there's water in the house, but you're still thirsty because you're lazy, you don't want to go get up and drink. Just knowing that you have something or you don't have something and you need, it's worse. Look, unless you are gay, unless you've never had sex with a woman, it's dangerous. You will not be able to do it. You said it multiple times that you can do it. You can do it. No, you can't. You cannot do it. Maybe you can. Others will not. I will not let a woman come stay in my house, a woman that has a husband. I will not do it. Because the more I think about the fact that I can't have her, the more I want to have her. And before I realize it, I'm going to be coming down from on top of her. By the time I realize it. If David could fall, who the hell do you think you are? If David, a man that was chosen by the Most High to be the king of Israel, if David could see this woman taking shower and lusted after her, if David could risk his kingdom, do you understand the power in the body of a woman? Do you get it? Have I not shown you Sirach 42? I told you, it doesn't matter whether a woman is 5 years old or 105 years old. A woman is a woman. That's why it says in Sirach chapter 42, verse 12, it says to fathers, make sure you cover your daughter. Let your daughter cover her charm. Her breast and her ass is her charm. That's what turns us on, us the Hebrews. For the filthy Gentiles, her finger, her toenail may turn them on. That doesn't turn us on. Her breast and her ass turns us on. So that's her charm. That's only supposed to be seen by her husband. So if David can fall, who do you think you are? This is a man of Yah. And yet he couldn't control himself. He knew he was risking his life. He was risking his kingdom. He saw what happened to Saul. He saw how Saul fell. The sin of David is worse than the sin of Saul, if you ask me. The Most High told Saul, go to this war. When you go there, destroy everything. Saul went there and took the king. He destroyed everything. They took some animals and they took the king alive. That was how the Most High rejected Saul. David taking somebody's wife, having sex with her, and then killing her husband. I think it's sin is a sin, period. So if David can fall, if David could not resist the body of a woman, who the hell do I think I am? No. My salvation is very important to me. I'm not going to play games and deceive myself. Yeah, that's fine. That is this. You can go. No. It doesn't work like that. Unless if you're gay. Unless if you are gay. If you are a real man, it doesn't work like that. If you have a woman with 2 breasts and a vagina in your house, you cannot resist it. Every night. The more you think about it, the more crazy you go. Having something that knowing that it's there but you can't have it, that makes it even worse. That makes it worse. The fact that you know that it's there but you can't have it makes it worse. What the hell are you talking about? Come on. No. And even now, imagine back then, more than 2,000 years ago, when the most wicked man back then is more righteous than the most righteous man today. Did you understand what I just said? The most wicked man back then is more righteous than the most righteous man today. That was at the time that David couldn't help it. There's a power in the body of a woman. Do you think it's a coincidence that these devils designed the clothes that women are wearing to be like this? Half naked, tight blouse, tight up here, tight ass, tight this, everything hanging out. That's why you see so much sexual sin. More than 3,000 babies are killed in America every day. More than 3,000 babies. I call them babies because the Americans call them babies. You know why? If you kill a pregnant woman, they will charge you with 2 counts of murder. But if that same woman go to a doctor and a doctor helps her to kill her baby, that's fine. So according to the heathen, according to the infidels, Americans, according to them, a baby in the stomach is a human being. But her mother can slaughter that baby and that's fine. More than 3,000 babies are killed every day in America. Every day. Go look it up. Why? Because of promiscuity. Because of child sacrifice. Because today, you may read the Bible and you will think that, oh, yeah, child sacrifice was a thing of the past. That was back then. No. Child sacrifice is still happening till today. It's still happening. Because what are the reasons for abortion? A girl is in school where she shouldn't be in the first place. She's in college where she's not supposed to be. She's in high school where she's not supposed to be. She's supposed to be in her husband's house. Yeah. So she's in college, she's partying, drinking, doing drugs, having sex, unprotected sex, having sex with random people, and then she gets pregnant. Next thing, abortion. Morning after pill, abortion. So there's a power in the body of a woman. That's why the Most High wants us to cover up. We're supposed to cover up. That's why you see the Arabs, they cover up. A woman's body is supposed to be seen only by her husband. I'm not supposed to see your ass. I'm not supposed to see your breast. I'm not supposed to see your vagina. I'm not supposed to see your hair either. I'm not supposed to see your hair. These things belong to your husband. But look at us today. We are degenerates as a nation. The nation of Israel are a bunch of degenerates today. Whoredom everywhere. Both on men and women. You see our men with their pants hanging out. Even the men are showing you their ass. That's how degenerate we are today. So there's a power in the body of a woman. There's a power. And the Most High put it there for a reason. only for the husband. When you are inside the house, you lock the door. You can walk around naked inside the house for your husband. That's fine. If you're going to go outside, you're supposed to cover yourself. You're supposed to wear your veil. Your hair is for your husband. Your body is for your husband. Today, it's now the opposite. Today, if your wife wants to wear tight jeans and show her ass and show her breasts, if you say no, she will accuse you of being abusive. And this is good. We deserve this. You want to see why we deserve this? Go read Sirach 26:23. Sirach 26:23. So what belongs to you is now a public toilet. It's now for the public. And we deserve it. We, the men of Israel, we deserve all this because we refuse to keep the law. Sirach 26:23. There's a power in the body of a woman. That's how you see people raping. There was a guy, I think he raped there's a white guy that raped his, I think he was 3 months old daughter. 3 months old daughter. He raped this girl. They say that he sexually assaulted her. You see people that rape women who are in their 80s, 90s and stuff. There's a power in the body of a woman. And the idea that you could live together with that person, no, that is absolutely wrong. Because I know exactly what's going to happen. What's going to happen is eventually those people will begin to have sex. Eventually they'll begin to have sex. Now, if you are, let's say you are like 70 years old. If a woman is in her late 60s, early 70s, her so-called husband is like in his 70s, yeah, at that point he doesn't care about sex anymore. He doesn't care. Hey, get 1 Kings chapter 1. Brother Haven, if you could get that please for me, if you can read that. 1 Kings chapter 1. Because you asked, this is your question, this is your comment, so that's why I want you to read this, please, if you can. 1 Kings chapter 1. Yeah, well, yeah. So the thing is that you're bringing it up, and we are basically in the congregation right now. You're bringing it up, and I can't just let it. Just because you can do it doesn't mean other people can do it. So if I keep my mouth shut, that will be really, really bad, because I know that other people. I know I can do it. If you think you can do it, that's up to you. But it's not. It will not be okay for me to keep quiet, knowing that it's like. It's basically a suggestion that, you know what, I can walk around with a loaded gun and flip it around and play with it. I think that other people can do it too. You know, I'm pretty sure. By the way, please get me 1 Kings chapter 12. 1 Kings chapter 1 from verse 1. Please pull that up. 1 Kings chapter 1 from verse 1. So it's like suggesting that you could walk around. Oh, let me give you a better example. It's like you saying that, you see this knife over here? I could throw it up and down and flip it around and throw it up in the ceiling and throw it and catch it. I can do it. And in my opinion, I think that other people can do it too. If I sit here and be quiet, that will not be good. So no, just because you can throw this knife up and down and catch it and play with it doesn't mean that others could. Because if I keep quiet, other people in this room will assume that that is right. And no. I don't know. Like, okay, let's get the book of Kings, chapter 1 from verse 1, please.
First Kings chapter 1.
From verse 1.
All right. It says, King David was now very old, and no matter how many blankets he covered him, he could not keep warm. So his advisors told him, "Let us find a young virgin to wait on you and look after you, my master." She will lie in your arms and keep you warm. So they searched throughout the land of Israel a beautiful girl, and they found Abihag from Suriname and brought her to King David. The girl was very beautiful, and she looked after the king and took care of him, but the king had no sexual relations with her.
Okay, good. Stop. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted you to read. So this is First Kings chapter 1 from verse 1. David was very old at this point. Do you see what's going on here? So this is the same David who was in his house and saw Uriah's wife taking shower. He couldn't control himself, knowing that he was going to lose his he could lose his kingdom. He could even lose his life because he was about to commit adultery. Knowing about all these mass. Somebody's mic is on. Yeah. So knowing about all these massive consequences, still David could not control himself. David still went after Uriah's wife. Okay, that is the same David who is now old. David was now old, very old at this point. And his servant went and found him a young girl who was a virgin, of course, and to look after him. So why did they find a virgin? Why did they find a virgin? Because David could lay with that girl at any time. So if he was going to do it, she has to be a virgin. And the Bible, it's not a coincidence. It is intentional. The Bible intentionally tells you that David never touched her. This is how typically how they get a wife for somebody. This is how they get you a wife. So David was so old, he doesn't care about sex anymore. So the reason why I brought you to 1 Kings chapter 1 is that the reason why I brought you to this is that there are some people, even in our congregation, that I can look at them and say, okay, that's fine, you can stay together, because they don't care about sex anymore. I do ask people questions. I do ask them, when is the last time you had sex, whatever. Like, when is I ask them stuff like that. You know, there are people, there are couples, there are a man and a woman who might be living together. They've been together for 30 years, 40 years, 40-something years. The older you get, the less interest you have on sex. The older you get, the more bond you have. It's no longer about sex. It becomes about a lot more. So these people don't care about sex anymore. And some of them had sex like 5 years ago or 10 years ago. They don't care about that anymore. So in that case, yes, the man is in his 70s. He's in his 70s. The woman is in his late 60s, going to 70. Those kind of people don't care about sex anymore. They are the ones who can do this. If I tell you I can do it, I'm a liar. Young people cannot, because young women desire sex. Young men desire sex. This is a natural thing. So the idea that we could just pretend that we're righteous and nothing will happen, no, that's not going to happen. Remember, it's not just David. Reuben also. We read the book of Jubilees 33 earlier today. Jubilees 33. Brother David read it. You see Reuben. Reuben saw his father. Reuben saw his father's wife taking shower. Just think about that. This is a woman that he was not supposed to. He was not supposed to touch this woman, but he couldn't resist himself. Reuben, the first son of Israel, could not resist just because he saw her taking shower. He couldn't control himself. And then that evening he went in there and raped her. So do you think that the Bible put this information in there for entertainment? The Bible is very clear. You see good and bad and the ugly. They're all in there. Because it's the word of the Most High, and the Most High is not about to sugarcoat or water anything down. He's not. We read today in the book of Psalms how the children of the heathen, their children will be dashed on the stones. Their children will be crushed on the stone. Yeah, just like they were feeding your ancestor to crocodiles. So the Most High is not watering stuff down. No. So no, the idea that what would you do if you live in a house with a woman, and one day she thinks that you're not in the house, that you left, and then she walks out of the shower room naked and you see her naked? What would you do? Yeah, if you are gay, yeah, of course, that's fine. That's like your girlfriend. But if you're a real man, it's going to drive you crazy. It will drive me let me talk about myself. It will drive me crazy. And I know the consequences. I know the implications, just like David. I know so for real men, this is going to be a problem. The bottom line is that if you live with someone who is not your wife, biblically, if you live with a woman and she was not a virgin when you married her, and she's been with multiple men before you married her, she's not your wife. The best thing is to separate, move away. It will not be easy. There will be a lot of crying. She's going to cry. She's going to be angry. She's going to be mad. She's going to probably file child support. She's going to try every way possible to get back at you. It's all going to happen. But you have to separate. The idea of staying in the same house and living together. Look, I know a brother that did this. A brother watched my video. He didn't believe it. He went and he began to contact Hebrew Israelite camps. He began to contact other camps, like other teachers, asking them about this. And they kept dismissing it. They kept telling him that it's not a big deal. So that's what he told me. So he watched the video. He thought it was not true. So he went to ask other people. They told him to not worry about it. It's not a big deal. So the more they dismiss it, the more he's like, no, you guys can't just dismiss this. So he now called me and explained to me what's going on. So initially, in the beginning, he decided to move out of the room. I've been doing this for a while, my brother. And I'm not going to play games. Okay, I can sit here and try to play righteous. Oh, I'm so righteous, blah, 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 blah. I'm powerful, I'm strong. No, I am a man. Yeah. And if you're a woman, you're a woman. And if I see you naked, I want to get on top of you. That's what I want to do. But because of the law, I can't do it. Because of the law, I can't. That's a reality. I'll be fooling myself if I think that I'm some kind of powerful. Yeah, David he couldn't do it, but some reason I can do it, right? No. So the brother decided to move out. This is a true story. The brother decided to move out of the bedroom. So what he did is that he got out of the room. When he found out about this and he contacted me and we spoke and everything, so he decided to separate by moving to a different room. So he packed his stuff in the same house. He moved to another room, I think the room downstairs. So he stayed there. He will go to work. Of course, the so-called wife was mad and angry at him, telling him that it doesn't matter. This is, we're under grace, blah, blah, blah. So he will go to work, come back home and stay in that room, right? After some time, he started having sex with the woman again. After some, he couldn't help it. After some time, he found himself having, even though they are sleeping in different rooms. I'm telling you a true story. Even though they're sleeping in different rooms, after some time, he found himself having sex with her. So at this point, he now packed his things. He went and he found an apartment and he left. He left to go live in that apartment. He couldn't do it. He could not. He could not. I'm talking about someone that saw the same video that you saw, those videos that I have online. So the idea that you could do it, if you live with a woman No, you have to get away. Leave. What I'm asking you, if you have children, take care of your children. Provide for your children. Visit your children. Be in their life. Talk to them on the phone every day. Find out what they're doing. Guide them. You cannot abandon your children. Be in the life of your children. Raise them according to the law. But you cannot be in the same house with that woman, because you will not be able to resist her. I'm telling you. If you are now, there are two types of situation. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and explain the other part. So when you're dealing with this issue, let's say you are the man and you have a wife, right? You married in the worldly system, and you found out that she's not really your wife in the sight of the Most High, right? She's gonna respond in one of two ways. She will respond in one of two ways. Now, how she responds to this will determine how things are going to go down. I told you there was a brother I know. There's a brother I know, right? When he found out about this some years ago, when he got this information, he told the woman, and he wanted to separate from the woman. She took a knife. She wanted to stab him. And you do know what happened when you stab somebody. So she was so mad that she took a knife and wanted to stab him. Why? Because he wanted to separate from her, because he realized that she is not his wife. We are Hebrew Israelites, and we have been practicing marriage according to the Gentiles. So because of that, he wanted to separate from her, and she did not take it very well. She wanted to stab him. So that's what I meant, that there are two ways a woman will respond. So when she did this, that makes it even much easier for him to get out. So he was able to get out much faster, because you can't negotiate with somebody who wants to stab you to death. So that made it easier for him to get out. Now, there is another way that a woman might respond to this. The other way is, and this is the most difficult part, there are some sisters out there that are extremely humble, extremely obedient. That's a more difficult situation to deal with, because you don't want to separate from her. You know it's hard to find someone like her. So in that kind of situation, it's even more dangerous in terms of staying in the same house, because it's very difficult. It's extremely difficult to it's very difficult to I mean, she's there, and like I've seen a situation like that. I've seen, although this one, I've dealt with brothers on this issue, and I've dealt with sisters on this issue. Okay, so there's this guy. I'm not going to call him a brother because he's a Gentile, and he was, quote unquote, dating a Hebrew girl, which is an abomination. That cannot happen. You can't do that. A Gentile cannot have our sister. Go and read the book of Jubilees chapter 30. So this Gentile, so I didn't know this, this Gentile probably like about more than 2 years ago. So he contacted me, and so one time we were on the phone on Skype, and he turned on his camera, and I looked behind him, and I'm looking at a Hebrew sister right behind this Gentile. I'm like, what? Like, on his bed. He was sitting down on the bed, and my sister is right behind him. And if you understand the scriptures, Jubilees chapter 30, that's problematic. This is a problem. Okay, a Gentile cannot be with a Hebrew sister. People get killed for that. Go and read the book of Jubilees chapter 30. Okay. And the Most High doesn't want that, because the Most High don't want Gentiles to touch his daughters. These are the daughters of Zion. And even though you don't know your worth, you don't know your value, you do have value. But unfortunately, you don't realize it. Because if you do, you don't act like you realize it. If you do realize that you have value, you shouldn't be exposing your body like it's cheap. Because when something is precious and valuable, you protect it. You wrap it up. Right? So here I was on the phone with this man, and he turns on his camera, and I'm looking at my sister right behind, a Hebrew sister right behind him. And he introduces her, that she is the girlfriend. Okay. And after that phone conversation, I didn't say anything. Because it's going to come up anyway. It's going to come up eventually. So eventually, as we were going through doing a study, that came up. So later on, he called me. He said to me, so this means that I, being a Gentile, because he's white, he's a white guy. He said, this means that I, being a Gentile, cannot be with a Hebrew woman. I was driving when he asked me this, so I pulled over. When he asked me this question, I pulled over. I said, go get the book of Jubilees, because I know it's going to take a while. So I told him to read the book of Jubilees, chapter 30. He read the whole chapter. After he read the whole chapter, he asked me a question, and I wanted to give the answer from the scripture, like I did the sister that asked a question today. So I give you the answer from the scriptures. So you will not be able to say that I told you. No, I want you to see it from the scriptures. So he read the book of Jubilees chapter 30. After he read the book of Jubilees chapter 30, he told me, well, he said something like, well, it is what it is. I mean, so he told her he ended the relationship. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because that sister was extremely humble. That sister was extremely humble. A very humble woman who of course is misguided. She doesn't know who she is. If she knew who she is, she would never be with a Gentile. So it was in that situation, it's difficult when you're dealing with someone who is unique, separate, who is holy, meaning that they are different. So that's when people don't put up resistance. If you go home and tell the woman you live with that you found out that she cannot be your wife, and you explain it to her, and she maybe cry a little bit, and she's like, okay, I guess it is what it is. If she responds in that way, it will be a lot more difficult to deal with. Compare to when you explain it to her, she pulls out a gun or she pulls out a knife and want to stab you. You are going to run outside, and you will wait for her to get out, and you're going to pack your bag and you will get out. You will stay far away from her. It will be easier to deal if she confronts you. If she's more mild and more respectful, and it will be more difficult for you to handle this situation. So for those of you men out there who are not living with any woman, you have no idea how much emotional pain and suffering that has been spared on you. You've been spared from the emotional feelings and emotional pain of separating from someone that you possibly love. It's more difficult when you love somebody. If it's a woman that you love, it's more difficult to separate. It's not just men who are dealing with this. I'm currently also dealing with sisters who are dealing with this. So it's not just men who are leaving their so-called wife. I also have women who are leaving the men. I've gotten calls from, I got a call one time from I got a call from somewhere from Canada, and she told me she was like, she said she called to tell me that she left her husband, but she has a different reason though. Her reason is that she wants to teach her children the law, and she's a Gentile. She's a Gentile. She's a European. She's an European woman. So she wanted to. She found out that we have to keep the law. So she decided that she already lost her daughter, her first daughter or something, one of her daughters, because her daughter ran off with some guy. So she doesn't want to lose her children anymore to the streets. She wants to teach them the law. The problem is that her so-called husband, actually that was her real husband, because the man took her virginity. So her husband was like, I would never let you teach my children the Bible. So there was struggle going on between her and her husband. So she packed her stuff and she took her children and left. And after she told me the story, I said, you do realize that you can never get married as long as he's alive, because he took your virginity. She said, yeah, I know that as long as he's alive, I cannot remarry. I said, okay. I was like, okay. I mean, if you do know already. So, but that she left for different reasons. As a matter of fact, as I speak to you right now, I know a sister who is, I'm not going to say too much about that, but because her situation is still unfolding, but she wants to obey the Most High. So as I speak to you, she would like to leave her so-called husband, and they got married I think it was months ago. I think it was last year or something. Last few months ago they got married, and she found out about this and she wants to leave, but her situation is a little bit, it's an interesting situation, but she sees what the Bible says on this issue, and she wants to get out. People are going to think that she's crazy, she's mentally ill, she's part of a cult, she joined a cult. Am I not showing? I mean, are you not seeing everything from the Bible right here? This is not a religion. This is not some kind of a religion. This is a nationality. We are the Hebrews. We're going back to our culture. We're going back to our heritage. We used to do marriage according to the way the Most High told us. We don't do that anymore. We get married according to the white man, the European system. That's why we go to the church to do wedding. Can you show me anywhere in the Bible where a wedding was done in the church? Zero. Show it to me, and I'll send you a Bible. I'm going to send you the Apocrypha. I'm going to buy an Apocrypha like this, brand new, and I will send it to you. Show me. Go find out in the scripture where wedding was done in the church, in the temple. This is a Bible with Apocrypha. Go and find anywhere in the Bible, the scriptures, where wedding was done in the church. Find that chapter and verse, show it to me, and I will send you. It doesn't matter where you are. No matter where you are in the world, as long as you get mails, you get envelopes, I will send you Bible with Apocrypha. Go find that and show me, because you can't find it. But if you do, I'll give you, I'm going to buy this Bible and I'll send it to you. So why are we doing so-called wedding in the church? Because that's what Satan is doing. It's a trick from Satan to trick you into thinking that what you're doing is holy. Biblically, in our culture, the Hebrew culture, there are two things you have to do. Actually, three things you have to do to have a wife. First thing, if you see a woman you want, a girl, usually they are girls. Usually they are girls. If you see a girl you want to marry, you go talk to the parents. You don't talk to her. No, you don't talk to the girl. Judges chapter 14. Judges chapter 14. From verse 1. If you see a girl you want to marry, you go talk to the parents. Tell the parents that you want to marry her. That's what you do. So if they agree, then you pay them bride price, 50 shekels of silver. 50 shekels of silver. That's what you pay them. Today it's about $300 and something. You can actually buy the actual silver. You can buy silver online and they'll deliver it to you. Be careful though. Be careful. You don't want to buy from a scam website. But I bought silver online. I bought a silver from the internet. I think it's from like silver.com or something. But be careful when you buy. So you don't want to waste your money to scam or something. So you pay a bride price and she's yours. You take her home. When you take her home, okay, so you pay a bride price the day of the wedding, the day that her parents will give her to you. Her parents will give you a piece of paper, piece of cloth, sorry. So if you pay a bride price for the girl, the night of that you pay the bride price, that night, the parents of that girl will give you a piece of cloth, white cloth, or they will give it to their daughter. So when you go inside the room with her, like you saw Jacob, our ancestor, when he finished paying the bride price for Rachel and Leah, he went into the room with them. After he finished paying the bride price, he said to Laban, "Give me my wife. Let me go unto her, because I've done paying you the bride price," right? They gave him the girl. He went inside and it turns out to be someone else, right? So you go inside the room and you start your business. And you do your business. And as you're doing your business, you're going to make sure that blood from her will touch on that piece of paper. Very important. So that blood that touches it, it has to come from her. And it can only come if she's a virgin, right? So that blood that touches on this, you take it and you put it aside. And you finish your business, and her parents will keep this. Her parents will keep that cloth with the blood on it. This is Deuteronomy chapter 22 verse 13 to 21. Deuteronomy 22 13 to 21. Her parents will keep that cloth. This is the proof of her virginity. Can someone help me and read that for me, please, if you can? Deuteronomy chapter 22 verse 13 to 21. If you can, pull it up. Deuteronomy chapter 22 verse 13 to 21. Deuteronomy 22 verse 13 to 21. If you don't have it, that's fine. So read it though. When you have time, go ahead and read it. If you have time. If you read the book of Deuteronomy chapter 22 verse 13 to 21, you will see it. So the idea of blood coming out from a girl on the wedding night, you can clearly see it. It's part of marriage. So it's brother, do you have it? Go ahead and read it.
And detests her and charges her with shameful conduct and brings a bad name on her and says, "I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found she was not a virgin. Then the father and mother of the young woman shall take and bring out the evidence of the young woman's virginity to the elders of the city at the gate." How far did you want me to go?
Down to verse 21. Go all the way to 21.
To 21. And the young woman's father shall say to the elders, "I gave my daughter to this man as a wife, and he detests her. Now he has charged her with shameful conduct, saying, Your daughter was not a virgin, and yet these are the evidences of my daughter's. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. Then the elders of that city shall take that man and punish him, And they shall find him 100 shekels of silver, and give them to the father of the young woman, because he has brought a bad name on a virgin of Israel. And she shall be his wife, and not divorce her all his days. But if the thing is true, and evidences of virginity are not found for the young woman, then they shall bring out the young woman to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her to death with stones, because she has done a disgraceful thing in Israel, to play the harlot in her father's house. So you shall put away the evil from among you.
So, quick question. Why should they? What's the reason why they should put her to death? Why? Could you answer? Do you know why, brother?
Because of deception, basically. And she's has opened herself up to another man, but she's basically, deceived her family, even her father, to say that she has not been with another man. She's not to be trusted, and even her as a woman of Israel, the standard is high regarding her. So she has to be she basically an example of how Israel, or even a woman, is to be to a man, or how Israel is to be to Yah.
Okay, so it says that if this is true, and the evidence, which is this, if her parents cannot provide that white cloth, which is the evidence of her virginity, then she should be stoned by the men of her city. So in the night of the wedding, when you pay a bride price, you take this and you make sure the blood touches this, and it goes back to the father or to the parent of the girl, and they keep it. This is the evidence of her virginity. So the Most High said, if it is true, remember from verse 13, he said that if a man takes a wife and goes in unto her and then accuses her of not being a virgin, then the case should go to the elders of the city, and the elders should look into it. And the parents are supposed to, the parent of the girl is supposed to bring the evidence of the girl's virginity. So if the parents can produce the evidence, then the man should be fined 100 shekels of silver, which is close to probably going to $800 today. And that will be given to the parents of the girl. And the man is supposed to keep that girl for the rest of his life. Do you see that? I really want you to see it. It says that if the man is lying, if the girl is truly a virgin and he was just lying, he is supposed to be fined. They were supposed to take some money from him and give to the father of that girl. And that girl, the girl will remain with him as long as he is alive. Do you see this again? So the Most High does not permit divorce. But the Most High goes on to say, if it is true that the evidence of her virginity cannot be shown, that means that the man is telling the truth. The Most High said that the men of her city should stone her to death because she has committed a whoredom. That's prostitution in the sight of the Most High. This is the reason why that Joseph wanted to have nothing to do with Mary, because this will not be able to be produced. Joseph thought that Mary was no longer a virgin. I didn't write Deuteronomy chapter 22. It's there before you and I were born. So marriage, according to the Most High, has to do with sex and virginity. So you're never gonna see anywhere where they went to church to do wedding. You see a girl that you want to bring to marry for your son, because you're supposed to get a wife for your son. We do arranged marriage. We didn't get into it today, but we've gone into it at other times. We also do arranged marriage, as you can see in Genesis 24. When Abraham sent his servant to go get the wife, Rebecca, for Isaac, that is arranged marriage. You also see it in Judges chapter 14 with Samson and his parent. So, when they brought Rebecca in Genesis 24, the Bible tells you that Isaac took Rebecca into his mother's tent and knew her, meaning had sex with her. And that's it. There was no big flashy wedding and tuxedo and wedding gown and wedding hall and some preacher, none of that nonsense. Now, if you want to have some celebration, that's good. As you can see in John chapter 2, Yeshua HaMashiach, our beloved Savior, Christ went to a wedding in John chapter 2. There were some wine and drinking wine and eating and drinking and having good time. That's something you do after you do this one. So to every marriage, to the wedding, this has to happen. Every girl has to go through this. Every girl. So with this, you see that the Most High has zero tolerance for sexual sin. That's why he punished David hard. Did you know that the Most High gave David everlasting punishment? Did you know that? The Most High told David, 2 Samuel chapter 12. 2 Samuel chapter 12. The Most High told David that sword will never depart from your house. Sword. This is why I suspect those in Chicago. The way they slaughter each other, the way they kill each other, I suspect that they may be from the clan of David, because of the way they clean each other for senseless reasons. The Most High told David that sword will never depart from your house. So the Most High does not tolerate sexual sin. This is why Satan is doing everything within his power, using his children to get you to send your children to school. And they go there and all kinds of abomination is going on in those schools, in the bathroom, at the back of the school, in the classroom. So every girl at some point, usually when a girl loses her virginity, her parents is supposed to know. Her parents is supposed to know. Her parents will give her this. She will take it. When you get a chance, read the book of Tobit. It's only 14 chapters in the Apocrypha. The book of Tobit. Look at that girl over there in that chapter, in that book of Tobit. All those men that was coming to marry her, a man will come to marry her. Everything is all good. Everything checks out. Everything is fine. The night of the wedding, when they go into the marriage chamber to take her virginity, they will die. This kept happening, and she started thinking of killing herself. So now, when a girl loses her virginity, her parents doesn't know. But biblically, her parents is supposed to know. Because in our culture, the Hebrew culture, it is your parents that finds a husband for you. Your parents is supposed to find a husband for you if you are a girl. Your parents is supposed to find a wife for you. That is their duty. That is their job. That is their duty. That's their job. Can someone help me with Sirach 7:25, if it's possible? If you can check that out. The book of Sirach, if you Google it or something, pull it up, however you want to look at it. When a brother reads it, it sounds way better than the way it sounds if I read it. So I would love if you can pull that. Sirach, the book of Sirach, chapter 7, Sirach 7:25, please. Just verse 25.
Yeah. Give your daughter in marriage, and worry comes to an end, but give her to a sensible man.
Okay, so I think it's also important that we read. Let's go to Sirach 42. Sirach 42 from verse start from verse 1. Sirach 42. Sirach 42. The book of Sirach, chapter 42. Actually, let's start from verse 9. Sirach 42 from verse 9.
Keeps her father wakeful, and worry over her drives away sleep. Lest in your youth she remain unmarried, or when she is married, lest she be childless. While unmarried, lest she be defiled, or in her husband's house, lest she prove unfaithful, lest she become pregnant in her father's house, or be sterile in that of her husband. My son, keep a close watch on your daughter, lest she make you a laughingstock of your enemy, a byword in the city and the assembly of the people, an object of derision in public gatherings, so that there is no lattice in her room or spot that overlooks the approaches to the house. Do not let her reveal her beauty to any male, or spend her time with married women. For just as moths come from garments, so a woman's wickedness comes from a woman. Better a man's harshness than a woman's frightened daughter than any disgrace.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I just wanted you to see that, talking about how a father is worried that he's worried that maybe if when his daughter gets married, she might not be able to have a child. When she is still at home, she might get pregnant. You clearly see that right there. So that a father is worried that his daughter might get pregnant while she's still at home. It says in verse 9, a daughter is a secret anxiety to her father. A worry over her robs him of sleep when she is young, for fear she may not marry, or if she married, for fear she may be disliked, while a virgin, for fear she may be seduced and become pregnant in her father's house, or having a husband, for fear she may go astray, or though married, for fear she may be barren. Verse 11, keep strict watch over a headstrong daughter, or she may make you a laughingstock to your enemies, a byword in the city and the assembly of the people, and put you to shame in public gathering. See that there is no lattice in her room, no spot to overlook the approaches to the house. Verse 12, do not let her parade her beauty before any man, or spend time with among married women. So that was what I was talking about earlier, about parading her beauty. By the way, thank you, brother, for reading about parading her beauty. And I told you, a woman's the place that we're mostly the place that gets our attention is mostly a woman's her boobs and her ass is what gets our attention. That has to be covered properly, so basically that this Sirach 43 and Sirach chapter 7:25, we went to Sirach 7:25 because I was talking about arranged marriage, that usually we are the ones that find a wife for our son, like you see in Genesis 24 with Isaac and Rebekah. We are also the one that find a husband for our daughter, as you can see in Sirach 7:24. So I'm sorry, Sirach 7:25. And then you see in Sirach chapter 42 from verse 9 how a father is worried about his daughter and stuff like that. So I'm going to go back to biblical marriage, and we just close it off from there and go to another question. So we've gone through a lot today about this issue, and this is not going to be the end. As I always say, you can always bring this up whenever you want. You can always ask about this. We can always go back to this. Tomorrow is a new moon day. The day after tomorrow is probably a new moon day. We can always discuss this because I understand how serious this is. It's a very serious situation that actually affects people's life. I get it. I understand it. So this is not going to be the end. You can bring this up again. We can go through it. I always say, if you see any scripture or any evidence or anything, please let me know. Let me know. I'm extremely interested in this situation because I have a family member who I will never attend her wedding. I have a sister. I told you I will never, because she lost her virginity and now she thinks that she's single. She thinks she's single. And just a matter of time, she's going to call me and say, oh, I'm going to be doing my wedding and so date. I'm not going. I'm not going to go, and I will look really bad in the eyes of people. People will think I'm crazy. I'm not going to go. I will not go. Because if I go, the Most High will not be happy with me. This is my only sister. My only sister. I mean, I have other sisters, but they are dead. This is the only one that's left. So I have an interest in this. But what I'm not going to do is to water down the word of the Most High just so I can make myself feel good and make my sister feel good. No. It's a very difficult situation, but we have to repent from this. We have to repent from. It's like when a man is living with another man and they live together for like 20 years, 30 years. It doesn't matter how long they've been together. They are still not married in the sight of the Most High. And what they need to do is to separate. That will be the repentance. So if you find yourself in this situation, get out. Get out. Obey the Most High. It's not going to be easy. I encourage you to read the book of Ezra chapter 10. You will not be the first person to repent from this, and you will not be the last. So you have to repent. It's going to be very difficult, but get out. Get out, obey the Most High, and get out. So all praises to our Heavenly Father. Does anyone else, before we move on, because we have to go on to the next question that Brother Aliyahu has, does anyone else have anything relating to this? So of course we need to close this one and go on to the next question. All right, my brothers and sisters, all praises to our Heavenly Father. If you do listen to this online and you have any question about this, you're more than welcome to contact me. I got someone that contacted me from Australia, like maybe 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and he says, I just left my girlfriend. I left my girlfriend because I found out that I can't be with her. That's what he told me. So people are repenting from this. Of course, obviously, it's easier to leave a girlfriend or a boyfriend than to leave someone that you call your husband or your wife. I understand it, but it's repentance and we have to do it. So all praises to our Heavenly Father. Thank the Most High for opening our eyes to understand these things, and give the Most High all the glory and all the honor. And all praises to our Heavenly Father.